Top five.
Yeah, girl, you ready to do this? You ready to count this thing down? We're doing the top five, her. Yeah, let's set it off with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ranked Top 5 Lists of Stuff That Don't Matter. I'm your Academy host, Tuong Law, and welcome to the final Oscars of the Pod Cavern Movies episodes. It's not
for legal reasons, it's not actually the Oscars.
Not the Oscars.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, we've been doing this episode since the very first episode of Ranked, which is pretty crazy. Top 5 movies of the year. Pretty much been doing it every year, except I did check back and we did miss 1 year.
Oh, really?
We did miss 1 year. And I think it's because of a certain pandemic that was like, movies aren't that important that year. Yeah. Which I'll get into what movies came out that year anyways, but it's kind of crazy. Yeah, since the beginning of this show, this whole show came about like, hey, I like talking about movies. I want to rank stuff. Why don't I rank stuff that's not just movies, but the movies one should be first? So it's kind of fitting that we're getting towards the end of Ranked as a show, but we get to do one more go around for best movies of the year. And I couldn't do it without my guests here today, Laura Gordon, Taylor Fleming, and Alyssa Wooldridge, back in action, back to the Oscars. I mean, not Oscars, Pod Cavern Academy.
The cavies.
The what? Say again?
The pod cavies.
Pod cavies. I like it. Alyssa, Taylor, welcome to the Pod Cavies.
Thank you so much for having us again.
I
like that I'm speaking now on behalf of Taylor and I together. I think we're having both of us.
Yeah.
Simpatico. Sorry, you guys keep talking about movies. Is this not the Joe Rogan experience?
Oh, no.
No, but it will be 4 hours still.
Okay, good. I got to fire my booker.
Before we get started, hey, what are you guys wearing? What are you guys wearing to the carpet today? Taylor, what are you wearing here?
I'm wearing a gray crew neck that I cropped myself. So
Wow. Alyssa, yourself?
Well, I was going to wear a t-shirt that's related to one of the films I assume we're going to be speaking about today, but I didn't want it to be a spoiler. So I actually might do like a mid-show change.
That's fun.
Stay tuned.
Fun.
I can't wait.
Laura?
Well, unfortunately, my LA Sob gown didn't fit due to my pregnancy. But since I'm not wearing that, I'm wearing my Silverstone crew neck with a quote from Murray Walker, the famous F1 commentator, on it.
Not movie related.
No.
Although there is an F1 movie coming out this year, isn't
Directed
there?
by Joseph Kosinski, coming out in 2025. Summer.
Yeah, wow.
Check your local
And
listings.
I'm not wearing anything important. I spent all my money on the glam bot that you keep seeing at the awards shows. And
Did you get Cole?
is that the guy with the hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't make it.
no, it's the hair with the guy. We know who the real star is.
That Glambot thing's pretty crazy. That's insane.
Some of the glam bots, I think it's bullying that they release them.
I have never been able to look at Joey King the same
it's so
since her
bad.
glam. It's so it.
Don't do it. It'll ruin your day.
I
I
don't
just feel so bad for
Don't
her.
need to open that tab
What
for
happened
later.
to her teeth?
Oh, no.
Where did they go?
Poor Joey.
She had such a good sense of humor about it, though. Like, she makes fun of it. But I'm like, why didn't they just let her do it again?
Redo it? It seems
Let her
like
do it
it's very
again.
easy to redo. Anyways, I spent all our money and time on it, but it didn't arrive in time. So we'll do a post-Glambot, I suppose, after this podcast is over. But yeah, we're here to talk about movies once again, the best movies this year of 2024. Top 5 movies of 2024. Can't wait to just get right back into it. I feel like this crew has been talking about, I don't know,
This is our third year, I think.
Third year together.
Yeah.
Alyssa, you and I have been doing it for like, I don't know.
I think I've done
eons?
4?
5? 6?
Maybe? Yeah.
I don't know. A lot. And
Yeah.
I've been doing all of them.
And Taylor's been around a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
You need to chase me out with a broom.
But yes, before we get into the best movies of the year, because there's going to be a lot to discuss, I just want to get everyone's kind of like vibe check of 2024 in movies. No spoiler take, but kind of like, how did you feel about movies in 2024? Taylor?
It was okay. Okay year. There's some good ones, but I feel like not a lot of great ones. I wouldn't say it was a great year.
Yeah. Alyssa, Laura?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. When I look at all the movies I watched this year, there's a lot that I liked.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot that I loved. Like I remember last year having like a list of movies that I felt like so excited about. This year I'm like, yeah, there's lots that I liked, but there's nothing that I'm obsessed with.
Right? You're like, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also found looking back, like maybe it's just because I don't remember them as clearly, so I remember them more fondly. But a lot of the movies that I really enjoyed from the past year were from like early in the year, relative to, I feel like most years it's like the summer and the fall into award season that often like the heavy hitters drop. But this year was definitely a mixed bag.
Yeah, which is a shame because this is our last year of doing this podcast. But you know what? That's why. I mean, movies are getting worse. So like, we can't keep doing it. We can't keep watching movies that are just okay.
Yeah, they're only going to get worse from here.
That's it,
just like
exactly
everything in our world.
But no, I feel exactly the same. Exactly the same. I feel like in the last few years, actually, almost every single episode that we've done for the best movies of the year, there's been like a clear winner in my head. At least like a 1 to 2, 3 clear winners where I'm like, yeah, that could be movie of the year. That could be movie of the year. This year, I had a really, really hard time to like have that passion. And I'm like, do I even like movies anymore? I do, obviously, but like there is that fervor that I had for like, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Parasite, Barbie, Past Lives. Like all those movies were like, oh yeah, like last year was such a good year for movies. And then this year, as I'm putting my list together, exactly the same as what everyone said in this podcast so far is just like, I liked a lot of movies, a lot of 3.5 to 4-star movies. Very few 5-star movies, but even when I look back at these 5-star movies, I'm like, I could probably drop it a half a star at this point, or like a full star. I don't know. But anyways, not to be a bummer about it, there's still good movies. There's just not amazing movies. So let's get into ground rules.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I think a good ground rule, as always, is that the movie had to come out in 2024. And I put it in quotations. People can't see my quotations right now. But because there are quite a handful of movies that come out, like if you look it on Google, it's like it came out in 2022 or 2023. I think as long as it had like a wider release in 2024, it counts. We're not going to be too picky and choosy about that kind of thing. But anything else for ground rules?
Theatrical release.
Does it have to have a theatrical release?
No, a direct to home video. No Return of Jafar.
What year are you?
We're still in Disney dummies when we're watching direct to VHS movies.
If I remember correctly, are we saving spoilers till the second half?
Oh, yes.
No spoilers up front.
Great point, Alyssa.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I'll need to spoil any movies to make my case this year, but I'm very curious about everyone's nominations this year because, like I said, it felt like I knew what the top 3 could be this year, and then for previous years. This year I have no idea.
Are we counting just like any films? So we're counting like documentaries, like a concert movie, or
sure.
But like feature length. I mean, you could argue with short, I guess, if you're really.
It's our last episode. Let's fucking do it.
But just to remind you, Taylor, the Eras Tour came out last year.
That's true.
So,
yeah. Sorry about that.
I just play it every day. So
there goes your list.
I get it.
Anything else?
No.
Let's
do it.
Let's get into it. Just like every episode of Ranked, and for the last time for Best Movies of the Year podcast episodes, we're going to go around 3 times, nominating 3 nominations each, making a master list of 12, and whittling that down to a top 5 movies of 2024 list. I'll go first. Okay. Again, like I said before, I have very few movies that I would rate 5 stars, but I would say this would probably be my favorite movie of the year. I'm going to go ahead and start with my favorite movie of the year. This movie brings me a ton of joy. It blew me away the first time I saw it, and then I saw it again recently, and it blew me away once again. And it's like one of the few movies of this year that I could go like, ah, yes, cinema. Ah, yes. This is what movies are about. It's making me feel something. It's doing something a little different that I have not seen on screen before. And that movie is Hundreds of Beavers.
Oh.
I was going to say, do you remember Top Gun Maverick? It was 2 years ago.
Hundreds of Beavers is a film that I think Taylor brought up to me one time, and I'm like, what the hell is that film? And then it was playing at our local theater. It had a very small theatrical release. It's a very tiny film. It was made for like $150,000. It is mostly a silent film, and it's essentially a slapstick live action Looney Tunes film. And it is following a really kind of clumsy fur trapper who's trying to get better at fur trapping throughout the movie and capture hundreds of beavers by the end of it. The story doesn't matter as much as just the insanity in which it is presented. And it is just, I don't know. I have not seen a movie quite like, I mean, I've never seen the other movie that this guy has made before. But when I was watching this film, I'm like, oh my God, like there's so much creativity on display, and I love movies with small budgets that do a lot with it. So like, even though this movie's called Hundreds of Beavers, I think there was 6 beaver costumes that was made for this movie in total.
Efficient.
And I know, and then they were able to do so much with so little. And it really is like that live action Looney Tunes action. If you're into that kind of thing, then this movie's for you. And I love it a lot.
Nice.
I was disappointed because the other day I was showing Laura and our group of friends this movie, and Laura, because she's pregnant, fell asleep in the first 20 minutes.
Also because I'm just a sleepy
and
gal.
then you're a sleepy gal, which you're allowed to pass on that, I guess.
It's also, it's long.
The movie's like an hour and 40 minutes. I don't think it's that long.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Did anyone else see this movie? I'm going to assume.
The first
Alyssa,
15
you saw this
minutes.
movie?
Okay, so I have a confession about Hundreds of Beavers. I have probably seen the first 40 minutes. I was so enthralled by the ambition of this movie that I paused at 40 minutes in and probably spent like 2.5 hours looking up these people's Instagrams and reading the behind the scenes of the movie. And then I didn't really care to finish the movie.
Oh,
You'd seen
But
enough.
I think it was like, it just like couldn't quite keep my attention in terms of like, kind of like, not that the gag was the same every time, but I was like, oh, okay. I feel like maybe I would like this better if I was high. That's kind of how I felt. But
that is fair. That is completely
I was
fair.
obsessed with reading about how they did it. And I think it's very admirable that they like took this crazy idea and really made it work. So what I saw of it, I enjoyed. Will I ever finish it?
I think you should. You know what? I won't make too much of a case for it right now, but I will say like towards the middle, I will agree there's a little level of sameness, but it's because the beginning starts off so strong with such absurdist humor that's happening that you're like, how can it sustain itself throughout this hour and 40-minute journey? But in that 40-minute mark around there, it starts to kind of slow down its roll to actually build a story out of it, and by doing so, it does pay off by the end of it, and it ramps up in its wackiness and all that stuff too. Taylor, you saw this movie, obviously. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I just looked. I was like, was that this year? I texted you about it the same day your liquor cabinet busted. Randomly. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, what are all these photos?
Can we put that in the IMDb trivia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Shelf is now fixed.
I'm like looking at that liquor cabinet right now, and as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, did I just see it move a little bit?
It's like pump faked at you.
Yeah.
No, it was really good. Like whenever I text you, because it's been so long since I saw it, but it just reminded me of like a weird like French Canadian or like old Russian movie, because it's also black and white. I don't know if you mentioned that. It's silent, but like, yeah, it feels like a video game as well. Looney Tunes video game.
Totally. Yeah.
And it just builds and builds, and like, yeah, the places it goes the elevation is crazy.
Yeah, it does a lot of good like heightening and comedy, which is obviously I really appreciate. And yeah, the video gamey stuff is very much present in it as well. So I had a lot of fun with it.
It was fun kind of watching it with a crew as well, because you and our friends who we watched with online were just like dying at some parts of it. And I was like, oh, this is
follows the
time.
rules of comedy very well, which I find like really, really satisfying, because it is crazy. It also has like, there's crazy moments, but it knows how to build on itself. And I would say like, if you love those like older Simpsons seasons, it has a lot of that level of quick, snappy comedy to it as well. Anyways.
Yeah. It follows the number one rule of comedy is you need to have a beaver Sherlock and Watson show up and investigate.
There you go. And that's
God, I love that movie. Fuck. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go to I didn't pick an order today. We'll go Alyssa.
Okay. I think for my first pick, I'm going to choose the movie that I felt was my best experience in a theater this year. I couldn't believe how from the moment I sat down till the credits rolled, I was so immersed in it. My heart was racing. I was on the edge of my seat. I think I wrote on Letterboxd at the end of the movie, I felt like I was just like not even in real life anymore. I had to like come down from the movie, and it was Challengers.
Yes.
Very
okay.
good.
Okay. I did not know where you were going for a second.
I had a feeling.
Taylor was doing a little motion.
Yeah, I thought it was a little
I thought it was
twistier than that.
If you feel it.
I loved Challengers. I thought it's such again, I think like I can't believe my heart was racing about a movie about tennis, but I think the score of that movie and the story of that movie.
Sexy tennis.
True. I don't care about tennis in real life, I'll tell you that, but I really cared about tennis for the 2 hours or whatever this movie was. But yeah, I can't remember. Am I telling the plot of the movie right now?
You could give like
You don't need to.
Not really. Like you said, there's
Why you
tennis.
like it,
I
yeah.
think that's okay.
Yeah, there's tennis, there's Zendaya.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Who else is in it? Josh
O'Connor. Mike Faced.
Mike Face. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved this movie.
Me too.
When it came out, and I think Laura and I we saw it together, and like I listened to that soundtrack a lot after we watched the movie, and then like was continuously bummed that it wasn't like the soundtrack hasn't like made waves in like the Academy and stuff like that, like completely like kind of shafted
Crazy.
in that way. It's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here?
Well, won a Golden Globe for Best Song, but wasn't even nominated for song or score for the Oscars.
That's insane.
Which I
Literally,
think to show what they know.
It's literally the only music I heard anybody talk about for a movie all year. And
Well, I think I
didn't
would
even
have
get
liked.
nominated. That's
I
great.
think I would have liked the movie without the score, but I don't think I would have loved the movie without the score.
Yeah.
It
Well,
added so much.
It
It's
adds a
Trent
lot.
Reznor and Atticus Ross. Like they, I can just think of like The Social Network, like how much that elevates that movie. They do the same thing here, but with like tennis and three ways.
It's genius.
I read a thing that was about when the director asked Reznor and Ross to do the score. He sent them an email that said, "Do you want to be on my next film? It's going to be super sexy." Sold. That's all it takes.
I like that. And like,
he
yeah,
wasn't wrong.
very tense too. Like that
Yeah.
music really does like, I felt like my heart was going to explode throughout the
Yeah.
film because it's just that low dooka 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 dooka
Yeah.
the entire time. Yeah, good movie.
Great movie.
Let's move on. Taylor.
Okay. I think I might go with Honora. Screw it.
Love it. Love
yeah.
it.
I love Sean Baker, as you know, like maybe the first year we did it, Tuong, I caped so hard for the Florida Project. And
Yes.
ever since then, it's just like if Sean Baker makes a movie, I'm gonna be behind it. But this one is so fun. Like it starts, I described it as kind of like just a gutter Cinderella story. Like she's a little bit trashy, finds herself like swept up, taken to this world of like rich oligarchs, and it's just crazy. And then like the second and third act of the movie, just like it turns into like an utter screwball comedy,
Yeah.
which I was not expecting. And like then I was
Totally.
like, okay, this is so much fun. You just get like goons. There are like Russian goons that come in, and like one of them has a heart of gold, and like it's just one of them has a concussion.
They're
Like,
so good.
Yeah,
And then,
I would
like,
say once the goons were introduced, because
Yeah.
like the movie was like it was definitely watchable, but when the goons got introduced, I was like, okay, I really like this movie.
Yeah,
they're
it was
fun.
it was so funny. There's a moment when they're in Vegas, and then she's on like the balcony, and it's a big sweeping shot, and it's just almost like she's like in a castle looking over Kingdom or whatever, and it's like big sweeping and like crescendo music, and Steph was like, okay, movie's done. Nice. That was pleasant. No downsides. And then the next scene, I think, is when we first see that like the priest, the other Russian guy that they call in to do all the work. And then like at that exact moment, it just like completely switches to a screwball comedy. And I didn't expect it to be funny and wacky. And like,
Yeah.
I love the ride.
I think especially in that, like the scene at his house in New York or wherever it is, when the goons like show up to basically get rid of Honora.
I didn't hire
And
any goons.
just the way like that scene just keeps going, because I mean up to that point like the narrative's moving pretty quickly.
Why
and then
the
you're like,
fuck
wait,
is she tied up?
we're
Untie her.
we're just staying here, and then the longer they stay there, the more you're like, Oh, this is the movie. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's when
you
you
didn't
realize
know.
it's
Yeah.
not what you thought you were in for. And I
Which is so
loved
fun.
that. Yeah.
I'm surprised the guy who played Toros, the priest guy,
Yeah.
wasn't nominated for anything because he was like my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like all of his facial reactions were just so good.
It's a much
was-
meatier role than was it
What
Yuri?
was Yuri? I
think so.
I loved him.
Which one's that?
The shaved head.
The one with the heart of gold.
Oh, I thought his name was Igor or something.
Oh, sorry.
might have
I think
been. Maybe the actor's
Yura
Yuri.
is the actor's name. Yeah, I think it's Igor. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, those 4-letter Russian names really get me. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Alyssa, did you
Perfect
like
pick.
this?
I'm such a big,
Yeah.
I'm also, it's funny that you have an episode where you were gunning for the Florida Project because I had an episode where I was gunning for Red Rocket.
Red Rocket. I remember. I didn't have to nominate it that year because I knew you would be caping.
Yes, I love Sean Baker. I love Honora. And one of my favorite things about Honora is this is the movie I wanted to talk about the most this year. Every time I heard someone had seen it, I was like, okay, we're getting into like a 15-minute discussion because I want to know what your interpretation of this was and what did you think of this? And I love that experience of watching a movie. Yeah, I love that there was just so many tonal shifts. It kind of took you on such a journey. And Mikey Madison, incredible.
Insane. She
Incredible.
was really good.
Yeah.
And even like the love interest, the kid, he was he was interesting to watch. He was like a little
He was fun.
shitbag, but he was interesting. I do have one quick story. Laura and I went with a friend, and she was like,
Well, you and Rachel were just going to go on your own. And I was like, oh, I want to see it. I'll tag along.
we go to this thing. And she's like, I really want to see this movie. I love a coming of age film. I love a coming of age film. And then as we're watching it, I like lean towards her. I'm like, I don't think this is a coming of age film.
Literally, no.
It's a different kind of coming of age film.
Seconds before it started, I was like, this is about like strippers and sex work. And they were both like, what? It was great.
That was fun.
And then butts on screen.
Lots of butts. Let's move on to Laura.
Yeah. So I'm kind of playing loosey-goosey with my picks today because I would say I don't feel exceptionally strong about any particular movies this year, but there were a few that I did enjoy that I wanted to talk about, and I think we will talk about today. But if I could sum up the overarching thing of like theme of the majority of movies I liked this year, it would be by quoting our friend Marie Kondo and saying, I like mess. And I think that's true in two of the picks we've seen so far. Challengers and Honora were two of my favorite films this year, both very messy in very different, complicated ways that I very much enjoyed. And another movie that I thought did mess really well this year was Conclave.
Ooh.
Yeah. This was one that it was kind of pitched to me as Gossip Girl with cardinals. Well, I think they said
Accurate.
Gossip Girl with popes, but technically they're cardinals.
Gossip popes.
I went to Catholic school. Gossip popes. Sure. And so I will say like it maybe didn't hit quite as much Gossip Girl vibe as I was hoping for. But the thing that I liked so much about this movie is how seriously the characters take themselves and the world that they live in. And yeah, without sharing spoilers, I feel like the end of the movie is kind of a good demonstration that like you really have no idea what's going on. Like even when you think you're in control of everything, there's so much that you don't know about people and the world and stuff. But I thought there was some really fun character progression, particularly with Stanley Tucci's character that I enjoyed a lot. And so many like stereotypes of the Catholic Church. It's definitely not like a generous take on the church, but it does, I think, represent the church as a lot more progressive than it actually is in real life. And, Ralph Fiennes, always a joy to watch.
Always a joy to watch.
Yeah.
And I also enjoyed the score in Conclave as well. I think it added a ton.
Yeah.
That one cardinal with the vape. I think there's like one vape hit that I think honestly could be in the top 5 funniest movies of the year. Or funniest moments of the year.
Taylor, did you watch Conclave?
Yeah, a few months ago, whenever it came out. It was good. John Lithgow's in there. The Tooch is loose all over the place.
Tooch is loose. Let the Tooch run free.
Yeah, I like the part when they take the ring off the dead Pope and they just like snap it off.
It's just like the ceremony of it all is so ridiculous, right? And even just like burning the ballots and the way they have to put their ballot on a tray and slide it into this urn. Like, come on, guys.
What is this, Survivor?
Yeah, that's what I felt.
We've
too.
all used Zoom polling software before. You didn't have to fly in for this.
Something I thought was cool, just like there's so many scenes where they're in a little auditorium with like blue chairs or whatever, and they're just like the standard foldy chairs. But I just loved how it was like they were almost framed like an old Renaissance painting or something. It was like gorgeous framing, but they're just like in this like modern, like they're all just like sitting on top of a chair. Someone's got his arms, and it's just like the juxtaposition of like, oh, look at all this pomp and circumstance, but it's like they're just fucking guys.
Voting the entire movie,
making moves that are incredibly important to them, but really, I mean, not to say the Catholic Church doesn't hold an immense amount of power, which, we've seen been wielded in negative ways. But like, I feel like the way they perceive their power is just so much different than the way the rest of the world does.
Well, and also just the way they're all like the nosiest, gossipiest person. I'm like, this is literally me. Like, I guess, like, could I be the Pope?
Yeah.
You can.
And the kind of piety that they all start with in the beginning, like, oh, the one who deserves to be Pope is the one who would never want it.
Never want it.
And then by the end, Stanley Tucci's like, I have to have it.
I need it.
Give me that fucking hat.
Don't give it to that guy. He sucks. It's like, okay, Jesus.
I'm doing this for you. Yeah.
And just like the wheeling and dealing in the background of like the trading, like, okay, well, if you vote for me, then, or you're not going to win. So you have all your backing towards this guy instead. Or like, hey, look into this person. Like lots of that.
Do you know what they should have done? Talent competition.
That's what this movie was missing.
You say
right? Imagine John Lithgow does a death drop and everyone's like,
yes.
The new Pope.
He brings out like the water glasses,
Honestly,
like Miss Congeniality.
That's the thing about this movie is that they don't really make a case for themselves. No. Like, there's never a point where they're like,
you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to. So
it's all behind the scenes.
At no point, nobody gets to do a rendition of a song or play piano or do a dance.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing. Just vote again. That's the movie. All right, let's go into the second round of nominations. I'm going to go into my number 2 pick of the year. And yeah, I feel pretty good about this one. We were talking about coming of age films before. I love a coming of age film, which is why I loved Nora so much. But no, I really enjoyed this movie. It hits a lot of check boxes for me. A coming of age film, Asian experience, growing up as an Asian, a North American, Canadian Asian experience, and like that type of angst of teenage love and that kind of thing. I'm talking about Dee is my second pick of the year. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this film. I think it was his first movie, Sean Wang, and it's a autobiographical film, and it follows this kid named Wang or Chris, and it's
or Dee.
And yeah, I felt like I was able to see myself in this movie a lot, even though it wasn't like 1-to-1. But I just loved how it captured that 2008 aesthetic so well, which is that early YouTube days, AOL, the way people spoke, everything like that. I felt like it captured it perfectly. Coming down to like, again, the North American Asian experience was really fun to see on screen as well. There is a bit where the grandmother, Nai, who is adorable in the film, and I think that's actually his grandmother that he casted.
The director?
Yeah,
Cool.
I think I heard that.
Cute.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
We don't fact check on this show.
We don't fact check. It's very easy for me to do it, but I won't. But there is a part which reminded me of just like my own family upbringing. And it was this part where essentially Chris or Wang or Dee gets into a fight or a scuffle with somebody, and he has like a black eye. And then the grandmother is like, oh my God, if you have a black eye, then you can't get a job, or you can't go to school. And if you can't go to school, you can't get a job. And if you can't get a job, you won't become a doctor. And if you don't become a doctor, then you won't get a wife. And if you don't get a wife, then you won't have a family. If you don't have a family, you can't take care of the rest of the family. And
this is basically our family messenger chat.
It feels,
with your mom.
It feels like my own family in that way, because that's the type of absurdist type of like, that's the line of thinking that they go through. So it felt like really close to home in that way. And yeah, there's just like, I feel like the way that they portrayed like that teen angst of love and like navigating the transition period of middle school to high school was really good. Social identity, social alienation. There's like this kid, he just keeps fucking it up with the rest of his
Poor
friends,
guy.
and he can't catch a break. But it's also like his fault too. You're like, you feel sorry for the guy, but it's also like he's not really making it better, and the way he like talks to others is not great. But he's also a kid. He's just trying to learn through it. And there's like a very satisfying speech with his mother at the end of the movie, which feels like it's a good summation of like that period of time. And yeah, again, I'm just a sucker for these types of movies, and this one really got me good. So, Dee Dee, what did everyone else think?
I'm looking forward to everyone talking about Dee Dee because this is a movie I could be swayed on because I hated being 13. So watching the movie, I was like, I don't want to be in this headspace.
It's tough. Yeah. I rewatched it last night, and like getting through some of it, I'm like, oh man, like talking to girls in this way was like, oh my God, why did you say it? But it's like, that's how I fucking did it when I was a kid, and it's rough.
I think, Alyssa, you did a great job just now of identifying how I felt about the movie. Like there's a few movies that actually, what's the other one? This is going to sound silly.
Lady Bird, 8th grade.
All good movies.
Because it's that
movie, the Pixar movie.
Turning Red.
Turning Red. I had a really hard time with like the family dynamic and just like those feelings of awkwardness and like the firsthand feel of it. And I mean, I think that's a testament to the filmmakers that they make it feel so realistic. But I just felt so sad throughout so much of this movie that. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Like, I'm sure that was a big part of the filmmaker's intent, but because of that, like, I just didn't enjoy it in the way that I enjoyed most of my top movies of the year.
Yeah,
I think that's
kind of how I felt too.
That's super fair. I love that I was able to see myself in it, and that's kind of
absolutely.
like, because you know, like it does feel like that growing up, and like there's even a part where like the main character is like, I'm half Asian. Like he's trying to be closer to white, but he's not at all.
It's devastating.
And then like his new friends are like, oh, so if he's half Asian, is your husband white? And she's like, no, my husband's in Taiwan right now and he's just working.
Yeah.
And then like this kid, which I'm very guilty of even to this day, just starts like yelling at his mom to like leave the room. He's like, Mom, get out of here. Get out. You're so annoying, blah, blah, blah. And like that like burst of just anger and annoyance. It's just like, it's hard to watch because I've been there before and I've seen like my family been there before too. But it's just like his new friends are like, why did you talk to your mom in that way? Like,
I liked those guys are like, don't talk to your mom like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Also, if I yelled at my parents, they would whoop my ass. I can't.
There's a certain level of yelling that is acceptable in an Asian household, in an Asian household, because some yelling is not actually yelling at someone. It's like base level of just, that's communication.
Just how you talk.
It's a tonal language.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I wanted to see, like, to really reflect on times where I've been dismissive of my mom. Like, my mom is an artist and she sends me her paintings literally every day.
They're beautiful. I follow her on Instagram.
She's incredibly talented. But watching him dismiss the paintings, I was like, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror like that. Oh, I need to be nicer to my mom.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I liked those coming of age movies. I just thought the kids sucked. And like I didn't find him charming. Like Lady
I know,
Bird
I was like, where is the redeeming factor? Like, is he gonna grow up to be a good person?
And
what's
that's
gonna
kind
happen?
of the point, I think, where it's like, oh yeah, we make a lot of like bad choices, but I was just like, this kid kind of sucks. And he can't even shoot the fucking skate video. Like, come on.
Poor kid. But
he's going to after he becomes. He's going to become a member of Visual Arts Club.
And then he's like, well, screw you guys. I'm going to delete all the videos. I was like, what are you doing?
But
like,
I think that's kind of
also when the girl like touches his leg, he's like, I gotta go home now. It's like, what is wrong with this kid?
But that's why it's like a little bit more interesting to me, because it doesn't follow the exact mold of other coming of age films.
Yeah.
Where it's like, of course you want to root for the protagonist in a way. And I think I do by the end of it. Like, you want to. That's the thing. And even the last shot of it, you stare, like it ends on like Dee Dee just kind of looking at his mom in this kind of like hopefulness. And then you're like, maybe he's going to be okay after all. But you don't know. They don't show it.
When he sees his friend at school, and they kind of do the like, what up thing. And like his friend getting the what up. I'm like, no, fuck that kid. Like he was so rude and dismissive to you guys. Like, I'm talking about Dee Dee. Like, fuck that guy.
Both
like,
ways,
though. But yeah, they both
ways.
There was no room in the car.
I've been in that situation. So. Anyways, we'll talk about that more later, but let's go to Alyssa's pick.
Okay, I'm going to pick a movie that if you would have told me a year ago I was going to pick this, I would have said absolutely not. Because I hate body horror. I hate gore. Oh. It's not, I kept telling people I would never watch this movie. And I think about it, it's sticking with me. And I think The Substance is one of the best movies of the year.
Absolutely.
Hello.
That's going to be my next pick.
This is not
now I kind of regret it
because
I picked it because I was like, it has to be on the list. And I didn't know someone else was going to pick it.
Oh, Taylor is for sure going to pick it. He loves that body horror.
Full disclosure, I don't have a list. I'm just...
I should have let you run with it.
Freestyle.
No, that's okay.
The
I
list
can
is in
think
his
of
heart.
something.
But I think also the fact that I hate this kind of movie and I loved this movie is like proof enough that I feel like anyone would enjoy this. I did kind of cheat and like read the parts that were, I was like, okay, what do I need to skip? And then as I got into it, I was like, oh, the gore is actually like kind of funny. It's not
it's so extreme that it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and I just thought the use of color in that movie, I found it like a really like dynamic watch. Like it was just so interesting visually. Loved the story. I could talk for hours about just like how all my friends are getting Botox as just like normal maintenance right now and how I think about that every day in my life. No judgment, but just like, I think every day I'm like, am I a Botox person? Am I not a Botox person? Yeah. And so I feel like
suddenly
seeing
that's
this
a
movie.
Decision that you have to make as a woman.
No, I know. And I was like, this is what I'm thinking of every day. Yeah. And Demi Moore, incredible. Margaret Qualley, incredible. And yeah, great movie.
Dennis Quaid, real slimy.
Oh my goodness. The way that she frames him as like the most disgusting man on earth eating those shrimp.
Oh,
the shrimp scene is the most like visceral and revolting scene in that movie, and that's saying something.
Oh my God. And
wild.
How much that says about just like how men can get away with being gross and he's still successful, and then poor Demi Moore has some wrinkles and they're like, get out of here, girl.
You're done.
Yeah.
Him and his lackeys, they're all just like falling around like, yeah. Like in the hallways and shit. I said not Ray Liotta, because it was supposed to be Ray Liotta, and then
really?
Yeah, but I think Dennis Quaid was probably the better choice in the end. I mean, it wasn't a choice that they got to make, but Dennis Quaid just basically played like Vince McMahon, and it was perfect.
He was really good.
Yeah, he was perfect.
Disgusting. I'm going to disagree with saying that everybody can watch this movie. I specifically told Laura she shouldn't watch this movie.
And he was like, don't do it.
And it's because like there is a certain level. I mean, like it does get quite gross and sometimes cartoonishly violent, but there is tons of just like straight up gore and violence that like she gets really
I saw a shot with an open spine that immediately.
And I'm like,
I will say the nice thing is they don't surprise you with them. Like if I'm being completely honest,
the poster. I mean,
yeah, that's true. My eyes were closed for parts of the movie. Like I appreciated that there's no like jump scares. You kind of know when it's coming.
That's helpful to know because I am still considering watching it just like mostly with my eyes covered.
Also, it's so wickedly funny. It's like a social satire, which I didn't expect it to just be like laugh out loud. When Demi Moore is just like looking like she was hit by a train and cooking in that one scene where she's just like yeeting the eggs into the bowl. Yeah. Oh my God. Like I was losing it. It's so funny. It's so funny.
So good.
I enjoyed it a lot too. I remember like watching it and like being like, I need a shower after this movie because it was just so, I'm like, what did I just watch? This is insane. Yeah, I really don't think Laura would be able to watch it.
I think I'll get around to it.
You get it eventually.
You can watch parts of it.
You can watch parts of it.
Like while doing the dishes or reading a book. I joke. That's a joke, everyone.
Yeah, they get quite visceral and there's like not a lot of subtlety in it as well because they could be like, you are one, and they'll flash that on the screen all the time as well. We're like, okay, we get that part. Yeah, and I'm actually just kind of shocked that it's being recognized to the level that it has been because it felt to me as I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is going to be like one of those hidden gems of the year kind of thing. But now that like, we're in award season, it's like, it's everywhere. People know about this film. It's like way bigger than I thought this movie could be. And I think that's pretty cool, really.
Yeah, I think it's getting a lot of recognition for original screenplay. And Demi Moore's starting to clean up.
Oh, yeah. That scene where she's like wiping off her makeup.
Oh my God.
With
Well,
no
honestly,
like pads or anything, just like with her raw hand. Oh,
like if I talk about it too much, I'll start to cry. So Laura, or maybe we'll talk about it in the second part. I'll tell you about the scene because
sure.
you
I've
need
seen
to
a
know.
little. I've seen like her wiping her lipstick, but not the full scene. I also really enjoyed how like when Taylor was describing that, he seemed almost like squeamish at the idea of her like wiping away her makeup, which is just so funny given what I know about this movie. You know what I mean?
well, that's like the shrimp thing where it's like it's not the like there is a shower at the very end of the movie with the audience, you know? Like it's not that's so over the top that
That's
it's just
over,
like
yeah.
no, it's those little things
Yeah.
that like the shrimp and the makeup and like it's
again,
just
Even the
like,
testament
amount
to
of
the
needles
filmmakers.
that is happening in that movie. Tons of needles, lots of injections, a lot of pulling of liquids. It's, yeah.
All right.
All right.
it gets to the heart of things though in society is that old people are scary and gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And
Old
someone had
women.
to say it. Someone had
Old
to say
women.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granny's gonna get you.
Let's do Taylor. What do you got?
Oh geez. I guess for my next one I might do Rebel Moon 2, The Scar Giver.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm
Wow.
kidding. Jesus Christ.
The panic.
Yeah.
The panic I just felt.
Taylor's a huge Snyder head. We always
Yeah,
say that. We always say
anything.
that.
The Owls of Ga'Hoole. You can see my poster behind me.
I was just like frantically typing Taylor. I'm like, what is this?
What is this? No. Borderlands. No, I think I might go with one of the movies that just it did something that I've like never seen before in a movie, and I think at this day and age I'm always impressed by that. I'll go with Nickel Boys.
Ooh,
Great choice.
Yeah, I love to see that one on the list.
Yeah, it just like the POV. I didn't know it was a POV movie, and I think you guys went and saw it the other week and mentioned that. I was like, I had no clue, and then like it started, and then I was like, oh, are we gonna snap out of this? And I was like, oh, this is the whole thing. But so the whole thing is from the point of view of these two young fellas that it's set in Jim Crow South in like the 60s in Florida. They get sent to a reform school, and it's so crazy. I don't know if you knew this. I did not grow up in the Jim Crow South in the 60s, but like in the first 5 minutes, I said to Steph, we were watching it, and I was like, I feel like I'm in this. Like I've never had a movie like transport me like that. Like great set dressing, great, production design, but the way he's just walking down, like Elwood walking down the street and going into like the shop, reading his little Silver Surfer comic. I'm like, oh, I feel what it was like to do that, and that's definitely through the lens. The cinematographer should have been nominated for like best actor or something. I've never seen something like. Is it Elwood and Leonard? What? I forget.
Yeah, was it T? Did it start with a T? I thought it was.
Tanner.
Tanner? Was it Tanner?
Damn, this is bad.
Darn.
See, maybe I should have made a list. But just so like they
Turner.
have Turner.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Close, pretty
He's
close.
so cute.
Yeah.
He was in Now They See Us. I don't know if anybody saw that. The like Ava DuVernay
Oh, yeah,
produced
yeah, When They See
Netflix
Us.
series about the Central Park.
I
When They
thought
See
you
Us,
were thinking of Now You See
Now
Me.
They See Me.
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me too. Do you know they're doing a third one of those?
I do know,
Crazy.
and I won't watch it.
Yeah, but like so Elwood, whenever he is just like, he's looking at his feet a lot, and he's just kind of like not making eye contact with people. And then whenever we cut to Turner for the first time in his POV, I immediately felt more confident.
Yeah.
Like you'd see him just like fidgeting with the dashboard and like little things. And I'm like, he looked down at somebody's feet at one point, and I was like, oh, this is the first time I've seen somebody's feet. And I was like, oh, because Tanner always has his head up, whereas Elwood is always shrinking into himself. And just those little glances, like when the grandma comes and he's just talking to her, and then he looks down at the purse and looks back at her, and it's just like, oh, he's got that in him where it's like, I could probably nick that if I wanted to. Like it was so masterful and so beautiful and heavy, very heavy movie. I would like warning on that. It's a lot, but I think it's worth the experience because it is an experience. Like I felt like I was there, and I've never felt a hug in a movie. Those hugs,
Oh yeah.
they were
Especially
so.
when-
Come on, give me another
When she's
one.
like, give me another. Yeah.
That was so beautiful, and just those little things where it's like, oh, just giving a hug can change your entire. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It made me feel a lot, and I think it's because it was from their eyes. So it's like, what would it be like if I was there? And it'd be horrible.
And then there's like the future glimpse as well, and then the POV is like from behind his head.
Yeah,
That's kinda cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
We can talk about that later because
Yeah, I'll be interested
Spoilers.
to hear thoughts on that. I think a lot of attention has been paid to the cinematography on this movie and the first person perspective between Elwood and Turner, and rightly so. And I agree, Taylor, the fact that it wasn't nominated for a cinematography Oscar, given some of the films that were nominated, is just like, what are we doing here? But for me, I think the thing that most impressed me was the method of storytelling. In the same, like, I really felt that it echoed the first person perspective, in that we're really just like, we're witnessing this story. We're not being told what's happening. We're just seeing it all come to pass in little snippets. And I think that was something that I hadn't really felt in a movie before, very similar to that, the point of view. So yeah, I found that probably contributed to that sense of being there that you've mentioned. But that's probably what impressed me the most about the film.
Also, Anjanou Ellis-Taylor, like Addie, the grandma, I don't think she was nominated.
No.
Just burned down the Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
she was phenomenal.
She was.
The Academy, yeah. Their picks this year are kind of questionable.
I mean, and I gotta say, like, having already discussed Conclave, the fact that Isabella Rossellini was nominated for just like standing there with a look on her face for most of the movie, I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, definitely an agreement there.
Yeah, I have more to say, but I'll save it in case someone says that movie. Laura.
What movie?
I have more to say about the picks at the Academy.
Interesting.
But in case someone here secretly loved it, I won't say anything yet.
What do I want to choose next? Okay, I have a couple.
Need a third movie. Shit.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like...
Maybe you should have made a list, Taylor.
I'm pretty sure...
It's all up here. I'm going off vibes, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, I think...
What's stuck with me?
I think I'm going to pick one because I feel like that frees up a list and maybe take another one. Let's go back to the mess. Let's go back.
I'm like nervous because I feel like there's one movie you need on the list.
Yeah.
And I don't need it on the list.
I still get 2 more nominations.
Okay.
So don't worry. Don't you worry about me.
I'm like stressed.
I'm stressed too.
Don't worry about it, guys. Sometimes you just want to... I want to address the mess first.
Is it Rebel Moon Part 1?
Famously messy.
The director's cut.
No, let's talk about 75 hot minutes of mess that is Saturday Night. It was 75 minutes leading up to it, I think, right? Or maybe it was 90. But anyways, this was a movie that I was super, super looking forward to. I was actually really surprised that it didn't make more of a splash than it did, especially given like all the hoopla surrounding SNL and it being their 75th anniversary. Maybe that's where I'm getting this.
Is it 75 or 50?
It is 50.
Years.
Yeah, it's 50. Yeah, it's a 75-minute.
Yeah, you got the year right. 1975.
Started in 75. That's what I'm trying to get to. But it was one that I was really looking forward to. I don't think that it's the greatest film of all time or like the greatest testament to Saturday Night Live of all time or anything like that. But I thought what I really liked about this movie was that they kept it tight. Like the film had an objective and it relied so strongly on having a great cast. And I think their choices in casting Gabrielle LaBelle and Rachel Sennett as sort of the 2 kind of main leads and really going for like super strong actors who weren't doing impersonations, but who, I mean, I don't know much about Rachel Sennett's character in real life, but like Lorne Michaels, they could have just got somebody who could do like a really good Lorne Michaels impression. And instead they got someone who like
Dr.
really,
Evil.
Yeah, just really like portrayed the essence of the character or I'm sure with some creative liberties in there, and then surrounded them with those impressionists, but didn't focus too much on any of those supporting characters and really made it about like the production and Lorne's vision and really just like that snapshot of a moment in time. I super enjoyed it. I thought it was like well balanced between the urgency that was behind it while also taking like so much time to bring in the humor and the chaos of the environment. And I thought it was overall really fun watch and a great hot mess.
The guy who played Chevy Chase was like shockingly, he looks so much like Chevy Chase. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the guy who played John Belushi, was his nephew or something, I want to say. I think he's like a writer on SNL. I have to Google that later.
Interesting.
The resemblance there was like, super strong.
Yeah, I liked it, I would say. I'm very curious about, because like Alyssa and Taylor, you 2 are probably the most SNL super fans that I know anyways in life. What did you guys think of this movie?
It would have been hard for me to hate this movie. Like, I think it would have had to be pretty bad for me to not like it. I had a great time with it. I love Gabriel LaBelle. I think he's amazing. I'm a huge Gilda Radner fan, so my only complaint with the movie was I wish there was more
Not
Gilda.
enough Gilda.
But also, you know, it is tight 75 minutes. So the part where her and John Belushi are at the skating rink, I cried.
Breaks my heart.
She emanates good.
And there were so many Easter eggs for people who like, know the history. Yeah. Like the moment, like I went to see it with my sister, and she loves SNL, but she's not as big of a fan as me. When he goes to the bar and he's like talking to the guy writing the jokes, the minute I realized it was Alan Zweibel, I said to my sister, like, oh my God, it's Alan. And I was like so excited. And I rewatched it this week, and my review was, this is a movie for anyone who has obnoxiously corrected someone from saying skits to sketches. And unfortunately, that is me. And I love that in the movie, there is a moment where someone says skit.
Twice,
and Lauren goes, it's a sketch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it checked all the boxes I was looking for. Could have used a little more Gilda, but what can you do?
And Jane, she had that like one scene where she's talking to Garrett in the and I was like, oh my gosh, that the bleachers are so good. Also, just like little Easter eggs. Like, Alyssa, did you clock the Lincoln and the llama in the hallway?
Yes.
Also, at one point when we're like with Frank and Davis, when in their room and they're writing, they're eating a box. I don't know if you caught this. They're eating colon blow.
Yes, I caught that on the second watch. I was like,
I was like, are you kidding me? Just all those little things. And it's like, I'm sure it would like repeat viewings would be rewarded because I'm sure there's so many things that I missed. But it was fun. Ticking Clock is always I love a ticking clock movie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like one thing though, it's just like, you guys, you had a dress rehearsal. Like, everybody calm down.
You know how to do this.
Yeah. Very frantic. I like
chaos.
That.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gave me, it's not exactly this, but it gave me Birdman vibes a little bit, which was just like that kind of like,
it's just constant
urgency, urgency. And you're moving between like the behind the scenes of like a set, and you're like, we gotta go. And it definitely felt like that. Yeah, I liked it.
Something I thought was cool is J.K. Simmons' Milton Berle, not just his penis, but at one point,
oh my God, that was
had
insane.
To be brought up.
he would bust in and whip it out here if we didn't. At one point, they go down to one of the other floors, and you do see Milton Berle, who was like, he was the it guy back in the day, but you see what variety shows were at that time when he's just doing that like that song and dance, and it's so cheesy and so corny. So just like a good thing where like for audiences is like, if you don't know, like SNL's been around since long before we were born, but it's like, this is the shit that was on before. It was like the Partridge Family or the Brady Bunch, you know, just stuff like that, laughing.
At the time.
Yeah. And just to kind of show like the juxtaposition, and it's like, oh, that's what they were getting. Okay. I see how it is revolutionary. That was a nice touch.
All right. We're going to the final round of nominations here.
Whoa.
I am also kind of nervous now because there is like a good chunk of movies that haven't been said yet. But I will just go ahead and do my number 3 movie of the year. I don't think it's going to be on anyone else's list. Same with like my number 1 and 2. But like my number 3 movie of the year, I think this is the year where I really appreciate this show don't tell type of narrative storytelling, and which is why I like Hundreds of Beavers so much. It's just like, it's all pure visuals, and you just got to see it to like experience it. And this movie that I'm about to nominate is the exact same thing. No dialogue whatsoever. It's Flow. The animated movie Flow. This movie caught me by a little bit of a surprise, honestly. I never really heard about it. It won the Globe, and I'm like, well, how could it win the Globe when, like, you know, you have these more...
When I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before. But there's like, you know, Inside Out came out this year, Wild Robot, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, those were just more... I don't know, people knew about them because it came from like huge studios. Where there's this little movie that was created by a Latvian director, all in Blender, I'm pretty sure, which is a program that anybody can kind of use. And it's about this cat. And this cat who is living in this world where, like, what I really love about this movie is you just have to, like, whatever the narrative that you see on the film and create for yourself is what it is, because they don't tell you any of that stuff. It's just like what your experience is the narrative. So like what I got from it is it's this world that this water levels are continuously rising, and animals have to basically fend for themselves. And they have to, a lot of them seem to want to get on boats to get to a certain destination. So you follow this black cat who finds a bunch of friends along the way. You see like this adorable capybara, this golden retriever, this lemur, and a few other friends along the way. And
bunch of doggos.
And you're just following these group of animals. And again, there's no dialogue, but they're all acting as regular animals would. And you get so much out of these interactions because they act so much as their like species, but also how do they come together in a moment of crisis. And there's something really beautiful in all of that. And I think the movie's like less than an hour and a half as well. And it just goes places. And I love the cinematography in this movie because it keeps it really low to the ground a lot of the times. You see a lot of it from basically the cat's, not say POV, but from like that, the cat's kind of like a line of sight, I would say. Just kind of like, what does the cat see? That's what you're kind of seeing. And perspective. Thank you so much. And like, so when you see like giant waves come towards you, you feel the weight of how big those waves are and they're hitting you and all that kind of stuff. And like, there's so many like different themes that you can like kind of pull from this movie that the movie doesn't explicitly tell you, but you can kind of just like draw upon yourself to create for yourself. And because of all of that, I feel like it's one of the more interesting films of the year because I feel like you can get so many different types of discussion with people to be like, what did you think of the film? What did you think of the themes of the film? Like, what did you gather from this entire experience? And by the end of it, like, I was just kind of really happy for this group of like this ragtag group of different animals coming together and facing this, like, you know, the shit of the world, which in this case is just like the rising water that's going to drown everybody. But in the end, they still persevere because they do it together. And I think that's beautiful. Flo.
Spoilers, bro.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list and I haven't gotten into it. But I've heard really good things.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It heavily features a bird. And as someone who hates birds, I liked this film. So
that's a good litmus test.
Alyssa, you love cats? I mean, it features
I know
a
my
cat.
black cat is, it's like he knew you were talking about this movie. He's emerged.
Yeah. And
to
Taylor,
listen to the conversation.
You love dogs? Lots
Capybara
of really,
guy.
Lots of really
Okay, Glenn Powell.
The capybara stuff is really good.
It's so good.
But the dog stuff's even like every time I saw the dog, I'm like, oh, that's our dog, which I'm sure everyone says.
This is the thing, like when you're a pet owner, I feel like almost every animal in a film is like an embodiment of your own pet.
Totally.
But then when there's a film featuring a bunch of animals, you sort of like figure out which one is yours. I think that's a lot of fun. Yeah.
And I think the movie itself just looks really, really good. And it's just in an art style that I've not really seen before. It's just like kind of fresh, which I really appreciate because a common complaint that we have over at Disney Dummies is that like a lot of animated films in the last, like, let's say 5 to 10 years, not everyone, but a lot of them kind of follow the same kind of molds of what it looks like. And it's like, it's kind of samey, but like Flo has a very distinct art style, which is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That like necessity is the father of invention or mother. Yeah. And it's like he had limitations. So you have to play with that. It's why like old video games have such cool like art direction and stuff. And now everything is like photorealistic. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like, remember when games looked cool?
Yeah, exactly.
Smaller sandboxes are more fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be creative with solutions and stuff. And it can really
make some cool
produce
shit.
Some cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Alyssa.
Okay, I have 2 and I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm like, believe in me. I think I'm going to go with, this is probably my favorite movie of the year. Oh. It's a really hard one to recommend because it's kind of heavy, but the reason I love it is because it balances really funny moments with really heavy moments. And for me, I just really loved the journey. So A Real Pain, I think, is going to be my third pick.
Nice.
So this movie is about 2 cousins. And I was always super excited about this movie because I have a cousin that I'm obsessed with. And we both are obsessed with our grandmother. Thankfully, that's kind of where the parallels end. But I was really excited for this movie.
Maddie is bipolar.
He will listen to this and be like, Bud.
Maddie, you rule, baby.
But I just love, so it's about 2 cousins. They go on a Holocaust tour, and it's kind of just about these two people who have grown apart, who have been really important to each other, and kind of going through the pain that they go through every day, and also in comparison to the pain that their ancestors had gone through as survivors of the Holocaust. And I think it's just very impressive to me that this movie that is about a Holocaust story is also really funny. I love the writing in it. I love, the jokes worked for me. Yeah, I loved this movie. And Kieran Culkin, I do think that if you don't like Kieran Culkin, this movie is absolutely not for you. But if you like him, you will enjoy it. He's a force.
Oh, yeah.
I think he gets some criticism for often playing like the same type of character. And yeah, there's similarities to be drawn between his character Benji in this movie and Roman on Succession. But like, I just feel like he brings so much more depth to this role. And at the surface, yeah, some people might be like, oh, it's the same character. But I think there's so much more going on in his performance here and in the way they kind of flesh out their character that was really beautiful.
I feel like if an actor is getting maligned for always playing the same character, I think we're all focusing on the wrong person because, oh my God, Eisenberg, like, stretch.
That is true.
Holy smokes. That's the only thing. Like, I'm not the biggest Roman Roy fan, but he was great in this movie. Eisenberg, I was very unimpressed with, although he did direct it, but I'm like, it's kind of a cop-out. I don't know. He just did his exact shtick.
What's crazy is originally he was going to play the Benji part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is wild. He wrote the movie thinking he would play that part.
I wish he had. I'm like, show me.
I'm so
Show me the
curious
goods.
what that would have looked like.
Batman versus
But also
Superman
at the same
so much.
time, how could it not have been Kieran Culkin? He was perfect.
My favorite. I laughed so hard at the "Why are you walking alone? Are you a fucking loser?" That part. I laughed so hard.
Okay, did anyone clock? I didn't realize this until I was looking at the credits after. That like the woman traveling alone in the movie is Jennifer Grey.
Yes.
Completely went
Crazy.
over my head. Yeah, she's so unrecognizable.
We looked her up. I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
She seems familiar. Yeah, it's kind of like Alyssa. You said it's kind of a tough one to recommend, and I guess fair it is. But it's just like, do you like planes, trains, and automobiles? Here's your 21st century version
With a little bit more depression.
Yeah. Oh, here's a question I was thinking after I watched it. Which one of the two would you want to tour through a continent with?
Wow, that is such a good question. Because Kieran's character is the most annoying person you've ever met in your life.
But when he's on, he's like, you want to be around him so badly.
Yeah.
But then like when he
builds community too.
Yeah,
And
he
Jesse
just
is
needs
just a
like a good
plain
like
blank
slap
wall.
in the mouth. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
And maybe some medication, like whatever works for you.
Slap the medication.
And even, oh man, like even the ending of the film I thought was really nice too. Just the way he's just like, I mean, I guess we're not talking about it, but just like, just the way
that was so sad.
his mind's just wandering. It's just because that's just the way his brain works. And yeah, it's really interesting.
Steph got mad at me because it ended, and I was like, he's gonna fucking kill himself, right? No.
Don't go there. I think I would want to travel. The only thing is I'm not that responsible, so I kind of don't want to have to be the one in charge. So I want to travel with Kieran in theory, but I think practically I actually want to travel with Jesse because I know he's just going to take care of it all.
Plus, you can make Jesse do whatever you want and be like, no, we're not. That sounds boring. Let's go do this. He's like, oh yeah, sure. We have an itinerary. Okay, yeah, fine. Let's just be back
he's
by
got a
5.
backup plan though.
Yeah, exactly.
I did.
Did it drive you guys crazy that he just had the one button on the shirt
Yes.
the whole time?
What?
Yeah.
What button?
Just every time he had that, like the button-up
Button-up.
shirt, it was just one button.
Kind of like chest height.
Yeah.
He only had
But
one
just
button
one.
done up?
Yeah.
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 Oh.
Which also just
How
like
did I not notice that?
I'm like, is that an
it looks
OCD
weird,
thing for him, maybe?
But it's also gonna like that's gonna pop off. One button's doing a lot of work there. With your big backpack. Come on.
Too strapping.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie too, and it's like it's not very long too. This movie, I'm pretty sure it's like it says what it has to say, and then it gets out. Yeah, enjoyed it. And I also I didn't mind Jesse Eisenberg in this movie, but you're right, he is doing like
No, he was good. He was good in it. Exactly.
Yeah, he's doing.
And I'm
his
like,
thing.
yeah.
He's doing the Jesse Eisenberg thing.
Plays to his strength. All right, Taylor.
Okay. Do we want something like more fun, or see? I'm just giving it up to the crowd. Or
What do
Yes.
you want? What do you want? No,
I've
no.
got, oddly enough, 3 that focus on theater.
What is?
Oh, I hope you choose the one I want you to choose.
What is the one that
I'm like
you think is a better
telecommunicating
movie?
with you.
What do you think is the better movie of the 3? That's what I want. Or the one that you enjoyed the most, or the one that you'd want to watch again right now, if you had to pick.
Dang, that's tough. Because two of them are more heavy. One of them's like more funny. Shoot. Let's give me a hint. Doesn't have to do with like.
You have to go with your heart.
I think I might go Sing Sing.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. I was like, is it that or is it Ghostlight? I didn't know which one. I love that too.
Either would have been great.
Yeah, Sing Sing was just incredible. It was so beautiful. It was moving. It was hopeful, inspiring, powerhouse performances, shot beautifully on like 16 millimeter. You just feel that like grit and grain. It's a very moving movie. It was very nice. It was just a very nice time. I loved it.
Me too.
And Coleman Domingo, whoo, that guy,
incredible.
He never misses ever. He's so good.
Are we talking about his red carpet looks?
Of course.
That's true as well. Man can put an outfit together. Ooh.
And that Clarence Macklin, Divine Eye.
Yeah.
Bruh. It just everyone, and it blew me away.
I got confused that I thought everyone was like Divine plus a letter as their nickname in the beginning. I was like, what? And then I realized it was EYE. It's just a coincidence that they both had Divine in their name.
I also was a little confused by that, so you're not alone.
It is cool that they got like actual inmates who went through that program to be in this movie.
Yeah,
like, that's cool as hell.
The RTA, real rehabilitation through the arts. It's like an actual program that they have in Sing Sing prison, which is in New York.
Yeah,
and they just had a bunch of people who went through the program, and they're all, aside from Coleman Domingo, they're the players of this movie, and it's so incredible. It adds such a level of authenticity. And for a movie that takes place inside the walls, you get glimpses, they look out the window and you see outside, but it's a beautiful movie. And the fact that they made it beautiful within the confines, again, it's like your limitations, and it pushes you. And yeah, it was great. I loved it.
That's the thing that I hope people don't know when they go into the movie, because I found the impact of the credits was almost just as impactful as the entire rest of the movie itself. Like, as soon as I saw that first as himself, I started bawling. I was like, wow, this is so powerful.
It's so nice too, because it's just like all these people that society threw away and locked up for things they're just different people, and they've grown and they've changed, and yet they're still in here because the system's broken. And like, yeah, they're just like, they're making art. They're just making the most of it. But it was just so nice to see. And yeah, it just gives you like warm fuzzies.
Yeah, it is a feel good movie for sure.
But I mean, that's actually something that I felt really complicated about after seeing the film, is that in some ways it's like glorifying the prison industrial complex, because it's like, oh, see how great it is for these convicts.
I totally disagree. I feel like it's in spite of the prison industrial complex.
I think especially because Coleman Domingo's character shouldn't have been in there. I feel like there's enough of that you're like, this system is broken.
And he's the only one that we really focus on too. So it's like, well, who's he? It's like, it's probably all the same stories. Like, they did dumb shit once and then you just lock them away forever. It's crazy. It's so wrong. I definitely didn't get the glorifying the prison at all.
I don't know. I sort of felt after watching the film that like, it made me feel good about like the resources within prisons, when realistically, like, this is an exception to the rule rather than the rule. And I think like, I mean, it is important for these stories to be told when we're so used to seeing like super negative and horrifying stories from within prisons. But I just like, yeah, it was just something that sat with me afterwards, that I was like, but they actually make their lives out to be like, to look really lovely in this movie.
It's a true story though. So like, you know what I mean? It's like exception to the rule, but I'm like, that's real. That happened. The people that we see in this movie literally came through that program. And like, without that program, they might have gotten chewed up and like eaten alive in the prison.
Yeah.
I think maybe it also like speaks to like challenging people about what the system should be. And this was a positive thing. Is this something that it can shift to?
It's also, I don't think it's a thing that's put on, like, I don't think the prison is like, hey, why don't we do this program? People come in. It's like people who come in and have like reading clubs or like therapy sessions and stuff. It's put on through other people that come in.
Yeah.
as a program.
I think I came away the same way Laura did about it, to be honest, as well. I felt like it painted it in quite a positive thing, which is not a bad thing to say. I just felt like, I was like, oh, this is the nicest prison I've ever seen in my life in the movies. And like everyone's like cell block was like full of just their things. And it just didn't feel very prison-y, which is not to say that it should just like be like seclusion and isolation from all these things in the world. But it just felt like I don't know. It felt a little too light, I suppose, in that way. But like, I don't think that.
Do you think they don't have stuff in their cells in prison? Like,
it just felt it felt a little too happy, honestly, in there.
I feel like though, I keep thinking about, remember that moment where they're both like looking at, it's like a stairwell or something.
Yeah,
and he's like,
out
this
the
is where I
slit.
come. Because this is like the only place he can see like green grass and the blue sky. I feel like I totally hear what you're saying. And I think I can respect that. I think it's very valid. But also, I do think they make it seem like you do not want to be in there.
Yeah, like I got prison as hell is the vibe I got from it. And they have this one little ray of light that they're making for themselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that those bits just went over my head a bit.
Yeah, maybe me too. And I was, I think that it's like prison is hell, but I didn't get to see any of it. Like
They also like have the conversations that one guy kills himself because he's in prison. It's so bad. They have plenty of conversations about it being bad in the movie.
I don't think anyone kills themselves in the movie. Like the one guy has a heart attack.
Did he have a heart attack?
There's the one guy who's
I thought his cellmate.
I thought it was suicide, but then they said no,
it's a brain aneurysm, I think.
Yeah.
But there is a guy who talks about, he's like, yeah, like I was just going along in the prison too until one day like someone slit someone from ear to ear, and then I realized like so there are those heavy moments, and he's like, this place is the only place where we're human again, because as soon as we're outside of this theater, we're back into
and maybe that's it. Like it's like really the RTA is the space.
Yeah.
That's like their what's the word? Sanctuary, thank you. Rather than the whole prison, but I guess in my mind it was like extended to the whole prison.
I got the vibe it was very cold outside of that room.
I guess,
gotcha.
yeah. And maybe it's just one of those things where I would have liked to maybe seen a little bit more of the juxtaposition between like the sanctuary and like the badness. Not to say like I want to just see sad stuff all the time. That's not what the movie is exactly about. But I think the message would have hit a little harder for me, because otherwise it felt a little too, I don't know, what's the word? I don't know.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Like it's a lovely film.
It is a lovely film. It is.
I think it's great.
I just watched a movie about prison reform from like the 80s, and it's very intense, and I'm like, I did not need to see. No. I think we all know being in prison sucks.
Yeah, go watch Startup if you want a prison movie.
I don't know.
Maybe I was too like conceptual. I was more I didn't see it as the power of the prison. I saw it as like the power of art and like giving people an escape.
Yeah, this is true.
It's like the old Tupac book of poems, but like The Rose That Grew from Concrete. It's like, they did something beautiful in the worst place that they could be.
Maybe if it's even just like the title of the film being like the name of the prison, it's like, okay, but the prison didn't do this. Like the prisoners themselves like did the work. Anyways,
we can go on to that.
I do agree that it's a great film. And great nomination.
It felt like a movie that
sat with me after.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into that later. Seems like we have more to say about Sing Sing later. But we'll go into Laura's last pick.
No one saw this one coming. My final pick is
Twisters.
I was hoping Alyssa was going to nominate it, actually.
It's going in honorable mention.
Do it.
Gotta be Wicked. I've been looking forward to seeing this since I first saw Wicked in 2011. And immediately was like, when are we getting a movie version of this? Through a decade's worth of delays, because it was initially like announced that it would be coming out in 2016, then 2019, then 2021. Finally, we got the first Wicked film in 2024. It did not disappoint. The casting was incredible. The costumes are incredible. The music was incredible. The lighting needed some work. But I had a great time. I saw this twice in theaters. I think the emotional beats actually hit harder in person in some instances. And the fact that they basically added an hour to the first half of the show was crazy to me, because I felt like it flew by, and I had the best time.
Yeah, I know Alyssa and Taylor, you've seen this film. Taylor, I already kind of know your feelings, but actually, let's hear it now because you're not into musicals in general, correct? Ish.
Not this. Stage musicals. If that makes sense. Like,
You don't mind movie musicals?
no, some of them are good. So, like some of them I mess with more. I'm super not the target demo here, so maybe you probably don't need my input.
No, that we want to hear
love to
everyone's
hear it,
thoughts
even on
on
like a movie
all of the
perspective,
noms.
how it's crafted and stuff. It's kind of interested to hear.
I didn't like it. The pacing was abysmal. It was just like the story was so like I've seen this a million times. Like when they go to like she's like, here, wear this hat. I was like, okay, now she's gonna go there and they're all gonna laugh at her. It's just kind of like, okay, it's this. It was ugly. It's so bright and they like muddied the whole thing, like all the colors. I don't know. Yeah, just everything. Like all the CG and stuff they put on top of it, it's just like it's dark. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I did like that the love interest that was he a prince? No, it's not Prince. I don't know. The guy that jumps off the horse. I love how he just played it full gay. Like he didn't even try to be straight. That was so funny. And Ariana Grande I thought was terrific when she was doing her like little like bratty mean girl. Like when at one part she like flumps on the bed and then like looks up and then flips on the bed. That shit like that killed me. I liked that. That dress didn't really wash her out though. Maybe not the best in the hair. I don't know.
They went all pink.
And they really did. And then I didn't like the witch.
Cynthia Erivo?
Yeah, I thought she was having zero fun, it seemed. Like I wanted her to camp it up a little bit more. She was being a little too like I don't know. I thought she was boring.
How could she have fun when she's the only one in the room that's green, Taylor?
She can serve cunts. Just be like, I don't care.
Oh, don't worry. She will.
Oh, she will. Part 2.
There's still time.
Is there still time? Because I'm pretty sure that movie's still running and I started it in October.
No, we got a second half, my friend. Don't you worry. We'll get there.
So long. It was so long. And then part 1, the fact that they didn't put part 1 in the marketing because they're like, people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
What?
No, I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, because it was ridiculous. Like, how do you not advertise that this is only the first? I know so many people who went in who aren't familiar with Wicked, who went in thinking that they were going to watch the whole movie. And even one who came out the other end not realizing that there was a second half coming.
How long is the play? Because isn't the play like
the play is like 240
quick?
With intermission.
Yeah.
This is the length
and
of
this
this movie.
first movie
So
is longer.
This is the length of, with no... Yeah, of the length of the whole show.
So like my biggest issue being like pacing, I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing also is that they didn't add any songs to the first half, any new songs to the first half, but they're adding 2 new songs to the second.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also all my criticisms aren't valid because again, not the target audience, and I couldn't finish it. So.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
I couldn't. I gave it the old college try. I just.
How far'd you go? How far'd you get? Just curious.
I don't know. You know that part in like Get Out when he goes to the sunken place? That's just what it felt like, and I kind of out of bodied. I don't remember what happened.
Did you see? Did they go to Emerald City?
No, I didn't see the flying monkeys.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. So you didn't see Adina and Kristen.
Did you see?
You would have hated it. You would have hated that part anyways.
Yeah. What about did you see?
I like Kristen Chenoweth. She's great.
But it was like a complete fan service moment. And it was actually my least favorite part of the movie.
What about Popular? Did you get to that song? You
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Popular's good.
Alyssa, what about you? I'm just curious.
Okay, so I'm in the middle. I don't want people thinking I'm a wicked hater. I'm not a hater. The parts of it that I liked, I really liked. I'll just say I saw 71 new releases in 2024, and this ranked 42.
42.
Wow.
You
So
ranked
I'm
them
not
all?
saying I didn't like it because I liked it. I loved the experience of going. There's a big chunk of the movie where I was literally looking at my watch being like, how much longer could this go? Like, I enjoyed it more the second time because I wasn't spending so much time wondering how much longer it was going to be.
But you saw it a second time.
Yeah. And
You brought your mom, right?
well, I went with my mom the first time, and this is literally the only movie my mom saw all year. She loved it. And that makes me love it more too.
Oh.
But yeah, so the parts of it I loved. Again, I'm not a wicked hater, but I also have never seen the musical, didn't know any of the songs except for like the TikTok audios. So I love that the people who love it loved it. Mm-hmm. And I liked it, but I just liked 40 other movies better.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Valid.
Yeah.
that's fair.
For myself, I'm in an interesting position where I've definitely listened to the soundtrack a bunch because living with Laura kind of makes that happen in general. And
Driving with Laura.
Laura. And I've seen the musical one time, I believe. And I was looking forward to it because, you know, again, just the excitement from Laura this was her Eras tour, by the way, for people who didn't know. We couldn't get tickets to Eras tour, so Laura went all in on the costumes for Wicked. We were going to get Glicked, which was Gladiator and Wicked. We didn't end up going to see Gladiator, but we did dress up the fuck out of in our Wicked costumes. I was wearing green. Laura was wearing a big.
When Tuong says he was wearing green, like I painted his face green.
She painted my face green.
I thought everyone would be dressing up.
That was the thing, was that we were the only ones dressed up on opening day. But like,
did you get a lot of comments? Were people loving it?
People loved it. The staff freaking loved it. The people loved it.
The Gladiator fans were into it.
Everybody loved our costumes, and I'm like, great, but where are your costumes for this thing?
Was that a thing? Like, were people dressing up?
I'm not
on social media, so I don't know.
Green and pink, like a lot of people.
Some people
on
did that.
social media, and also we were coming off the Eras tour in Canada. Like it was happening the same weekend, and so I'm just like, oh yeah, like people are going to carry this.
Or like
into the theater.
People
or
loved
like for Barbie last year.
I was going to say what I hate is like Barbenheimer was like an organic thing, and like studios and people have been trying to recreate that ever since. And people are like, Glicked. I'm like, it's not a fucking thing. Like,
yeah.
It's just, it feels so like
word too.
It feels so. I thought it was glicked. It feels so forced.
Do you think it was wicked too?
Glicked.
Glicked.
John Wick.
Wickedier.
Oh, if John Wick 7 or whatever comes out the same weekend as Wicked 2.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
that'd
great.
Be good.
Oh,
John Wick.
Oh, I was gonna say John Glicked. But yeah,
need a song.
I did enjoy it. I did not feel the length, which is strange because it is a long movie. But I am a target audience for this type of thing. I love musicals. I'm a sucker for them. I love the showiness and the pizzazz of it all. Yeah, I was kind of shocked how much I didn't feel it, even though like looking at the runtime, I'm like, 2 hours and 40, kill me. But by the end of it, I was like, oh, it's over. I didn't know that.
What I feel about, and like, I don't know, but to me, I'd kind of imagine it's like, if you're into like Marvel movies, Deadpool and Wolverine is like, yay, fun. If you're not, you're like, this is fucking nonsense. Like,
yeah,
what?
Sure, yeah,
like,
totally.
And I'm like, Wicked, it's if you know the songs, if you're into the stage play. Like, I'm not here to, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. I don't want to take it away. I'm like, I'm glad you have it. But it's like, if it's not for you, it might just be like,
I think what's kind of cool about Wicked, though, is that it did seem to penetrate more of the general audience for people who aren't necessarily into that stuff. Not to say like, I mean, obviously it didn't hit for you, Taylor, and it didn't hit you all the way, Alyssa, but it did feel like Wicked had some sort of magical momentum going on, especially because like the press tour junket was like kind of insane for Ariana Grande and Cynthia. Like, I feel like a lot more people were bought into just wanting to see it because of the press tour junket, and because a lot of people recognize that this movie was doing a lot more for the musical movie adaptations that we've compared to what we've seen in other movies before. I've not quite seen another musical movie that has kind of gone to this level of notoriety compared to Wicked in recent years anyways. Like even like In the Heights, which John Shu did a few years ago.
Check out In the Heights, people.
Which completely passed over everybody.
So good.
But like this one seemed to just hit everybody at once. And maybe because of the star power of Ariana Grande, which I want to just take a moment to say like, maybe that was the thing that impressed me the most in Wicked, was like, I couldn't wait to watch more of this movie because I wanted to see what type of choices she was making on screen. Because like by the end of this movie, I was sold Ariana Grande as an actress. I'm like, holy shit, she is doing some really, really fun choices in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She was having a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And same with the Prince. Like that, I loved that energy. And
yes.
Yeah, she was so fun.
So good.
And the Prince was hilarious.
Totally. Yeah. And I think I agree with that, is that those two were the things that made me want to see what happened next.
They really popped.
Yeah. And not to, like, Cynthia was like, she was good. Like, she's like obviously an incredible singer, but like she's not the reason why I'm
Elphaba's a bit of a wet blanket in the first half of the show.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, like her vocals were incredible, but I was like, girl, you're kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But also I could just go down the rabbit hole of like, wow, does that make me a complacent person who would just also let and I guess like the animals talking is like, of course, the whole point of the movie. But I was like, I can't with these animals talking. And then I was like, am I a bad person? Is this
I didn't
me in
know
society
that's where it was
right
going because I was like, what is with the subplot of like animals shouldn't talk? I was like, oh my God, shut up. Like, get on with the story. And then it kept going. I was like, wait, this is the story? I thought it was just
story,
a
my
subplot.
friend. No, if like this, and this is, it's a very political book. And that is like the main thrust of it is, animal rights being taken away.
Alyssa, was it you that I was like, why is everyone so upset that she's green? It was like a fucking bear delivered the baby. Like, green's where they draw the line. Also, isn't the wizard green? And he's like your king.
He's not green.
He's not green.
He wears green.
Well, his front is green, isn't he? He's big cloud.
Oh, well, I'm not sure.
He's the big
this.
floating head and stuff.
The floating head.
Yeah.
But that's not like a person. Yeah.
No, but that's like,
definitely.
yes, I've seen The Wizard of Oz. See, that's a good movie. The Wizard of Oz.
I was like,
I like that.
Are we going to spoil this for Taylor that the wizard is in the giant head?
It's in The Wizard of Oz. Toto pulls back the curtain.
I know.
But the front-facing head that everybody sees is green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They all respect that dude? I don't know. I didn't finish the movie, so maybe it's all...
Yeah. You're more into the James Franco Wizard of Oz, if I remember correctly.
I'm a big Sam Raimi stan.
Taylor prefers the James Franco version of everything.
Mila Kunis is my...
Glinda?
Alphabet?
Well, who is she? I can't remember.
Alphabet.
Anyways.
Yeah.
LFB.
I don't know. I never saw it either.
Let's take a break, and when we're back, we'll actually rank the top 5 movies of 2024.
Whoa.
How does that sound?
Yes, let's.
Oh, Glambot's here.
Like, don't get me. I run the other way.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tuong.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
Disney Dummies!
Look, we know there are Disney superfans out there, but even the superest of fans could still be Disney dummies.
That's why the three of us are on a quest to watch every single animated theatrical release in chronological order, from Snow White all the way to whatever's out right now.
We dive into each movie in detail, talking about fun facts, talking about the animation, hit you with some hot takes, our favorite reviews on the internet.
We even talk about who fucks.
I still can't believe that's an actual segment.
So join us every second Wednesday for another episode of Disney Dummies.
And Pixar pals when we finally catch up.
Yeah. Brought to you by the fairy tale whimsical depths of the pod cavern.
Top five.
Hello, everyone. We are back. We're back, just roaming around the red carpet, hanging out with the celebs. Hey, I have a question for you. Now this is our last, movies podcast. If we were at the Oscars, if you had to accept an Oscar on behalf of one celebrity, who would it be? They couldn't be there that night, but you're on stage and you're presenting it and they're like, oh, this person's not here, but I'll take it on their behalf. Who would it be?
You answer first.
I would do, in this day and age, in 2025, I would do Ki-Hui Kwan.
Yeah.
I think
It's a good one.
He's such a nice guy. He seems like a positive dude in general, and I would be stoked for that.
I think I'd probably go for Meryl just because my odds of winning would be so high.
Oh, nice.
I was going to say maybe I'll pick anyone from Amelia Perez so I can just keep it for myself because I don't think they should get it.
You don't deserve that.
I don't know if they're going to get it.
I would do the insanely talented Adele Nazim.
You mean the wickedly talented?
Wickedly talented.
Okay.
Oh, she in Oh, okay.
Yes, there you
it
go.
is. Oh
there
my
you go,
God.
Taylor.
I never put that together.
That is hilarious.
What was the award for? I don't even. Whatever.
Tony for Best Actress.
Oh. Okay.
But John Travolta was introducing her to perform a song. I
I think it was Let It Go, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Alyssa, you just brought something up and I needed to talk about it. And it was the movie that I was just like, oh, well, I don't want to talk about it in case someone in this room secretly loves it.
We can do dishonorable mentions later.
I just want to take 2 seconds and be like, Amelia Perez, what the fuck? Why is it even like in the conversation at all? It's not even a good movie, period.
I went on a date. I went on a date with a guy who loved it. And that was a really difficult conversation to navigate.
Okay.
They're still trying to find his body.
I just want to know, did any of the rest of this group actually watch it? Just curious. No. Alyssa, did you watch it at all?
Oh, yeah.
You did watch it?
I watched it.
Okay. It's not good, right?
You know, I admire the ambition.
Sure.
They were doing stuff.
They were doing stuff.
I just really hope Flow beats it for best international film.
Yeah.
It was a tough one.
What about The Substance? Is that international?
I don't think so.
It? Oh, I don't know. know.
Okay, she's French. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it was
Coralie
produced by
Falget, or I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Anyways,
American
I just wanted to take this moment to just quickly bash Amelia Perez.
Yeah, everyone goes on about how like, well, you can't judge on that one song that went viral. That's not the best song. And I'm like, none of the songs were good.
I also have a movie to bash, but I'll save it for later.
Oh, interesting.
For dishonorable mentions.
It's Michael Mann's Ferrari. I'm not over it.
Again.
I was just going to say.
I'm still with it.
So our best movies of 2024 are Hundreds of Beavers, Challengers, Anora, Conclave, DD, The Substance, Nickel Boys, Saturday Night, Flow, A Real Pain, Sing Sing, and Wicked. Those are our movies.
Wicked.
No, it's actually like a pretty decent group of movies. I know we didn't
some
say
nice variety in there.
Some nice variety. They're all like pretty good movies. I'm very curious to what our top 5 is actually going to be because it's just kind of all over the place this year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see what we come together for. Let's do stars for further consideration. I'm going to get Laura. Can you star a movie for further consideration?
I would like to star Challengers.
Nice. Alyssa, star one that isn't one of your own.
I'm going to do Anora.
Okay. Taylor.
The Substance.
Nice. Okay. Substance is starred. For me, I'm going to star. I'll star Wicked. I know that's going to be talked about more for sure. But let's open it up to the floor a little bit. Is there any other movies that you want to star that can include some of your own, that you really kind of want to fight for, that you have the fight in you for? Anything at all?
The 3 that I think need to be in are Challengers, Anora, and Nickel Boys.
I'm on board
those
with
are the 3 that I'm all in on.
Nickel Boys was the other one that I would add, yeah.
Okay, I'll star Nickel Boys. Anything else that you guys want to star for further consideration? The ones that haven't been starred, I guess I can bring those up. We have Saturday Night, Conclave, Sing Sing, A Real Pain, Flow, DD, and Hundreds of Beavers. I mean, I feel like I have the fight for one of mine, I guess, but I'm trying to figure out which one belongs in this particular group because they're all kind of specific to like my own viewing experience this year. I feel like if I had to, I love Hundreds of Beavers. I think it's such a very unique film of the year, which is why I wanted to give it its due. But it could be my number one of the year and not necessarily need to make our top 5 collective of the year. And I'm sensing that DD wasn't for everybody, even though I very much really enjoyed it. Again, that genre of movie is just kind of speaks to me quite a lot.
But we've got Anora to represent coming of age films.
You're right. True. It's very representative of the Asian Canadian experience for sure. I could go to bat for DD or Flow, but I feel like Flow is probably the one that I feel like everybody, at least in this room, would probably enjoy more.
Yeah, I think if Alyssa and Taylor had seen Flow, I think the 2 of you would like it. I would say that was probably my favorite of the 3 that you nominated. Not probably. I would definitely say that was my favorite of the 3 that you nominated.
Okay.
So we can chat about it a little more.
I'll start Flow just to have it in the conversation. What about A Real Pain? I know, Alyssa, that's your favorite movie of the year. I really enjoyed it as well, but curious, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, it's my favorite. I don't know if it's necessarily top 5 of the year.
Wait, what's happening?
Sorry for the dead hair.
Yeah. What's happening here?
We're doing hair maintenance. Damn it!
Do you both have the same hair clip, or what is that?
I don't know. It's like a plastic rubbery. Exactly.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be in the top 5 because I do think that, it's kind of, not everyone thinks it's a good hang. You know what I mean? It's heavy. And I just think people should give it a shot. I don't feel that strongly about it having to be in the top 5. As much as I do, I'm like, Honora has to be. I think Challenger should be.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think Nickel Boy should be.
How about Sing Sing, Conclave, and Saturday Night? Where do we land on that? I'm okay with it not being those guys not being in the top 5. I enjoyed them all to certain different extents. I think I don't feel that strong about Sing Sing. I think we kind of already touched upon that. Like, I like that movie. I think it's
it's a beautiful film.
It's a feel good film, and I'm definitely think people if they watch it, they'll probably feel good about themselves. So if you need something that's a little bit more uplifting, that's good. It just to me, not speaking for anyone else in this room, it felt a bit more safe in terms of what it was going for. And this year, and a lot of other years, I just feel like I like the thing that's showing me something completely new. So that's where I'm at with that.
When I walked away, and I'm not saying that this isn't a great film or that I didn't enjoy the film. I just had this nagging sense at the end of it that I walked away being like, wow, this is such an amazing situation that they've got themselves in within this prison. And to feel that about a prison, the movie is as much as we say it's about the RTA program, it is to a certain extent about the prison. It's called Sing Sing, right?
But he's also trying and failing to get out of the prison because it's hell for him the whole movie, and you're so dejected every time. It's like, no, you still have to stay here, and it's wow.
I feel like that really only happens once, and then at the end he gets out. So it's like.
But he has that crazy breakdown where the whole movie he's the one who's so together, and then when he realizes he's the other guy's getting out, he loses it.
Yeah, I thought the read and the way it was presented in the movie is that the prison is awful and it's an awful experience for people. And it was just the one ray of sunshine is something that's they did, but not the prison. The prison was horrible. And I thought the movie did a good job of outlining that.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to agree to disagree on that. I also came away with it having Green Book feels, which is I don't know how else to describe it, where it's just it was just, it played it safe. That's maybe that's what it was for me. I wish it took more chances on what it was presenting to me, and it did it.
But what do you mean? Did you want a stabbing? What?
I don't know. I'm not sure what I wanted from me. It just felt like it was just made to make
people feel good
about themselves, I guess.
And maybe that's a difference of perspective. I really didn't see it as the prison helping them. I saw it as an outside group helping them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where I don't get that feeling.
I mean, it's a subtle difference in interpretation when you're looking at the program versus the prison.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, that made a big difference in part of my interpretation of the film.
Yeah. I think either way, I don't think Sing Sing's gonna make our top 5, so we can leave it there.
Get out of here.
So with that, we have Wicked, Nickel Boys, Honora, The Substance, Challengers, and Flows. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and then DD, A Real Pain, Hundreds of Beavers, Sing Sing, and Conclave Saturday Night can go. Yeah, we're good with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So do we just have 6 stars?
We have 6 starred. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we just really have to get rid of cut 1, which is a little bit sad, but we'll see what we end up on. Let's do locks, I guess, just to see where this group is headed for that kind of thing. So I'll say the movie, you'll say if it's a lock or not. If we all say it's a lock, it's going to make our top 5 list here. So we'll start with, okay, well, there's already 2 that I feel like is not going to get locked because not all of us have seen it, and some people have already said they don't like it as much. So 1 being Wicked, but we can just go through it anyways. Or you would lock it.
I would lock Wicked.
Oh, you would?
I think Wicked needs to be on the list because it was a phenomenon. I just think Wicked should be number 5.
Okay. Sure. Okay, we'll talk about that.
I'll take it.
What about Nickel Boys? Lock or no lock?
That's a lock for me.
I would, because we only have 6. Then
we have 6.
Yeah, I think that's a lock.
That's not a lock for me. Honora, lock or no lock?
Lock it.
Lock.
I'd lock Honora. The Substance.
Lock her up.
Oh, God.
Laura, where'd you get that red hat?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The substance.
Oh, it's just Coca-Cola. We're cool.
It's a Christmas hat. The Substance, having not seen it, I like everything I've read about it. So, I'm an impartial observer, but I would probably lock it just based on what I've heard about it.
Alyssa Taylor, lock? That's a lock there? Yep.
I think so.
Do we do challengers?
Lock.
Oh, I would
lock Substance, and I would lock Challengers. And Flow, only 2 of us have seen. So,
wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, did we just have 5?
Yeah. No Flow.
No.
And that's on efficiency.
Yeah.
No, I didn't lock Nickel Boys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we all did.
So we have 4 locks.
We have 4 locks.
Nickel Boys versus Flow.
Oh boy. Okay. I feel like it's an uphill battle. I would say I came away with Nickel Boys, and I don't want to spend too long dissecting this movie because I did enjoy it. I felt that I came away enjoying the film, but I didn't love the film as much as I wanted to love the film. And I think it's because the movie, especially in the beginning, I felt that the way it jumped in time in the POV's perspective, and just in general, you're going through the early stages of his life very quickly, was just it was jarring for me because I couldn't keep up with where I was and what was happening. Eventually I was able to put it together, but in those moments I was left a little confused. And then I also cinematography wise, I did get motion sickness a few times because of the way the camera was shaking. And I know that's it's emulating someone running, for example. But there was a few times when I was just it's hard for me to watch this because of the way it's filmed. I love a film that's trying something new. That's why I think Nickel Boys is cool. And if it ends up being in our top 5, I won't put up a stink about it. But the idea that it has this double POV, I think is awesome. The way they present the future self as behind the back is also really cool too. That's a good stylistic choice. But yeah, I feel like the whole thing, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. That's where I landed on in my rating of it, where I enjoyed the film, but it just didn't completely get me there by the end of it. But I would love, obviously it resonated with everyone else in this podcast here. And the only thing I'll say about Flow, continuing on what I've said before, is that I just really love. It's kind of actually the same reason why I like Nickel Boys on this list too. So if there's anything else that I could look at this and be oh, can anything else go? It's just it's just such visual storytelling, which is what movies is all about, right? It's just show me something that only movies can do. And Nickel Boys is doing that with its POV perspective, and Flow is doing that because there's no dialogue and it's all just showing me shit, and all of it can be discussed afterwards, and everybody can kind of have different interpretations of the film, but we're all experiencing it in a different way because no dialogue is shared, but you can enjoy just the pure spectacle of this really small but also grand animated film that is doing stuff that I have not, and I'm a big sucker for animated films. It's kind of a genre that that I just adore as someone who loves Into the Spider-Verse, for example, and
you should do a podcast about them.
Animated films, yeah. And Disney has speaking of, Disney has dropped the ball on animated films in the last handful of years. If you've listened to Disney Dummies, Moana 2 is one of the biggest disappointments, even though we can kind of see it from a mile away, but being oh my God, what a film that just kind of completely whiffs all the goodwill of the first film and all of that momentum that we loved about the first film by playing it so fucking
Tuong,
safe.
this was supposed to be my dishonorable mention.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, really and Inside Out too. I really liked Inside Out too, but you can also kind of say the same thing where it's just it's
repackaging the first one.
Repackaging the first film, and of course it's building on new emotions and all that stuff, but it's really not showing me anything new. But Flow is just another one of those movies where I'm oh yes, the power of movies is right here. And I really, really enjoyed it for that. All that said, I would love to hear more about Nickel Boys, I guess, before I completely lock it. I think that's where the conversation's going, but I would love to hear more about it.
I can jump in having seen both Nickel Boys and Flow. Is that I think Flow is a beautiful film. Far and away for me, the best animated picture of the year. And I definitely recommend it. I think you'd both enjoy it as well. And encourage our listeners to check it out. But I think like Nickel Boys, to take on like such heavy subject matter, but tell such an intimate story in such a unique visual way and a unique way of storytelling. I think it's the kind of movie that's going to stick with a lot of people for a really long time. So I would give it the edge there.
Yeah, I can see that. I wish it hit as hard, but I totally get like what it was doing was super unique and all that stuff too. Alyssa Taylor, anything else to add to Nickel Boys?
Just one element, like Laura was just saying, it's so intimate. It's very like personal, but something I did love is about their experience. It wasn't like, I mean, there was a lot of heartache and stuff, but it wasn't suffer porn in the sense that they don't show a lot of the abuse that was going on. It's very heavily implied, but they like cut away. And I'm like, I love that.
Like
I love
the guy
when a filmmaker,
the boxer, the guy who plays
Sam,
whatever in Shrinking, that guy. Yeah, it's just like he was supposed to throw the match away and he didn't. He's just like, oh man, I thought it was only the second round, and bad stuff happened. But they never show any of that.
Well, yeah, they just disappear him.
Yeah.
Or like when they take them into that room to give them the whoopings. There's one bit where you just see like a guard put his hand on one of the young kids' shoulders, and then like Alyssa, what's that blonde kid's name that's in like every movie this year?
Fred Heckinger.
Fred Heckinger. He's in Thelma. He's in Gladiator 2.
I love him. Gladiator 2.
But those were all this year, all those movies. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I texted Alyssa, I was like, dude, he's in Nickel Boys too.
He's having like the best year of all time.
He's coming up.
Also, he was in Craven the Hunter as well.
Oh, yeah. He's like his brother or something, isn't he?
I forget. Yeah, he was the brother.
That's crazy. What a big year. But yeah, like you just see like the hand on the shoulder, and then Heckinger just has a line where he's like, I went to that guard's house for dinner once, and like that's all you see, but you're like, oh my God. Like, and it's just like haunting. But like the restraint of like, we don't need to show you, you can imagine. And just like, those reformatories and stuff, just the parallels with like Canadian and the residential schools and stuff. It's just absolutely just heartbreaking. And I thought it was just really.
Well, I think there's also the added like juxtaposition of the fact that there's like both a white boys' school and a black boys' school in this like reform school.
And how much nicer.
Yeah, but and also how they treat the one character who's, I think they say he's half Mexican, and they can't figure out what to do with him.
Don't know where to put. Right? And then you see him like 20 minutes later, and he's in their dorm. It's like, they figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just it was very, very heavy, but
I just kept thinking about how, because it like, I don't think these characters are true characters, but it's based on like, things that really happened.
Things that happened.
Based on a book, which was based on a school in Florida, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I just kept thinking about how all these people who weren't able to tell their own story, I thought it was a really respectful way. Like, we can't know what they were thinking, but for the filmmaker to take us as best as he could imagine through their POV, I thought was like a really cool way to just like honor people who can't tell us what that was like themselves, to like try to put them in their shoes. I just think that filmmaker has to be like a genius. I go through like the logistical, like, how did you even choreograph all this and make it happen?
Yeah.
The moment when they look up into the reflective ceiling, and then, because I was like, what is the poster? Like, what? I don't get how the poster is like, an hour into the movie, and I'm like, oh, I don't get the poster. And then like that moment, and you're like, oh my God. First of all, how'd they do that? But then just like the two of them, it's the only time you see them together, because they're both looking in a mirror and they're like looking up, and just like the symbolism, and it's just like,
well, as actors, like, how weird would it have been to film this, where you're so often just like talking straight to a camera, but the actor that you're doing the scene with is like on the other side of it or wherever, like might not be there at all, right?
I also like the spoilers, the twist in the movie as well, where it was like Turner who took on Elwood's name at the end.
When like Daveed Diggs turns out to,
that was like, that was nice.
Yeah. What was your take on the when that happened, when you saw in the future and the camera was different? That was like shocking to me. I was like, what the heck?
What is this angle?
Honestly though, because it's like the movies taught you the rules of like the language in the film, and then to break that at that point, where I was like, what?
Wait a second.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hearing takes on it, because I didn't have like, I didn't have an interpretation of that. I was just like, I wonder why, like, were we supposed to be the real Elwood watching Turner as Elwood?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So I felt like a fool for not getting the twist sooner, because like I even commented, like, man, Daveed Diggs is like pretty light skinned to be playing Elwood. Like that's kind of surprised me. And then I was like, oh, egg on my face, duh.
I didn't get it either until it happened, Taylor. So
yeah, okay. Alyssa, did you have like a take on the shifting POV or the shifting view? I guess.
No, not really. Nothing that I think I could say eloquently, anyways.
Okay,
but it was jarring because you do. I think I was surprised. Like I thought I was going to be thinking about the POV a lot more through the film, but after the first couple minutes, you're just in it.
It's not a gimmick.
Yeah, like Taylor said, yeah.
So it did feel like a bit of a jolt. Like, oh, all of a sudden, who am I seeing this through?
Yeah. So when it happened in real time, I was like, oh, is this because, like he left the academy, but like he kind of left a part of himself there. So he's kind of removed from himself and he couldn't. But then later on, you get the twist and Turner takes on Elwood's identity. So then I was like, oh, he's like, we're still in Turner's POV, but he's kind of like put a mask on. So there's like something between you. That was kind of I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Interesting.
But that was kind of my take where it's like, oh, there's something between us and what we're seeing now. And it's like, it's the front that he's putting on and he's living in now and he's made it adult. But like just that. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, what happened here? I was like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Same. I like that interpretation though.
I think like, yeah, for me, the most effective part of the POV stuff was like towards the end when like they're running away from the guy and into the field where it's just like you feel it like you're running away. You're like, oh my God, that's intense.
When they're just biking and you're like,
yeah,
don't turn around. Like you just know, know.
You're like, please just pedal a little faster.
We're like, guys, come on, like get the lead out.
Don't take the main road, guys. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, like one of the scene with Ingenue, like Hattie, when she came back and was telling him he like the lawyer absconded with their money, but they're just sitting at the table and like she's holding hands, but she can't meet his eyes and they're our eyes, and just that time she's just looking off to here and like she hasn't even said it yet, but like my stomach was just dropped and I was like, I'm never fucking leaving this place. And it was just like her playing that and just it was really again, I've never had a movie do what this did as effectively.
Which is why I'm fine with Nickel Boys making our top 5 because it has that unique way of filmmaking that I haven't seen before. All that to say is it sounds like we have our 5 here, which is Wicked, Nickel Boys, Anora, The Substance, and Challengers. That's 5. What a list.
That's a pretty solid list.
What a list.
We got a little bit of, we have crowd pleaser. We've got a little bit of everything.
We've got sex, more sex.
Yeah, lots of sexy.
Bodies.
We have sexy tennis.
Yeah.
It was a horny year for film.
It
really was.
Yeah.
Starting with the Dune bucket, and we never went back.
It really set the tone.
It set
for
the
us.
tone.
I bought a few of those for myself, Taylor. Stored those away for the. You know what's crazy about the Dune bucket? Going back to the Dune bucket for a second, popcorn buckets have not been the same since.
No.
Like,
why are popcorn buckets such a thing now?
I didn't even know it was a thing before.
Did anyone see the line about that Timothée Chalamet said on SNL about like just spending the night with my Dune bucket?
But it's crazy. Like there's everything's a popcorn, like a crazy popcorn bucket now.
It's freaking merch and consumerism.
It's crazy. What a year. What a year. I was also reminded that this was the year, or 2024 was the year Madame Web came out, which is
that feels like years ago.
Like a zillion years ago. Like, oh my God.
It's crazy they did Madame Web, Venom, and Craven all in the same year.
Oh my God, you're right. Holy shit.
We're so lucky.
And I watched all of them because I'm a sick person.
Masochist.
They're all terrible. Do not watch them. I watched them for you. They're terrible. Okay, what's number 5?
I'm more than happy to put Wicked at number 5 on the strength of an unabashedly queer Fiyero.
Yo, the way he hopped off the horse, I was like, hello.
Yeah. Everyone was like, how did he do that?
Yeah. Dancing through life is probably my favorite part of the movie. I mean, Defying Gravity really worked for me too. I was like sobbing, but Dancing Through Life. So what a treat.
So fun.
Yeah.
The whole like
is that in the library thing?
the library thing.
That's spinning the kaleidoscopy.
Yeah.
And then seeing like behind the scenes of that and how they like built that thing to like do that is kind of
Oh,
nuts.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Alyssa, I got to get your take on the scene in the Ozdust ballroom, you know, when they're like dancing silently
Doing this?
together. Yeah, that
Yes.
bit. What were your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it. I was like,
Wait, you
I was
hadn't
like-
seen Wicked before?
no.
Okay,
And
okay, gotcha.
And I truly didn't know, like I knew popular.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know the story. I was kind of like, I guess this is sweet.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. But that was kind of the part of the movie where I was a little like,
What time
okay,
is
so
it?
Oh,
when
that's
are
so
they
funny
going
to
to
me.
the Emerald City?
That was the bit where I mentioned earlier where it's like she's gonna get the hat and they're gonna laugh at like that. I was like, I've seen this in like a lot of high school movies. But what's like your take on it, Laura? Like,
So to me, that's like the deepest emotional part of the film and probably the show that like I was in tears. So many of my friends who are fans of Wicked were also in tears at that point. I took a friend to see it the second time I went and he'd never seen Wicked before. And like I'm choking up at that scene and he turns to me and he goes, "This is dumb." I was like, how dare you?
I
So
do think that's a bit of a difference of
Yeah.
when you love the characters. I'm so glad that the people who love the characters got that moment. For people who aren't as dialed in, I was like, okay.
I was confused. I'm always a little confused. I know this is stupid, but like with musicals, I'm like, are they singing like in real, like, do they know that they're singing? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That, which is always, it's like, whatever, hand wavy away. But because it was like not drawn out, but it started like pretty slow with her doing the like single ladies hand thing. And then I was like, so that went on for a while. And then the people started doing it. So I was like, wait, is this like, I was like, is this happening? And I was like, okay, I'm like, I need to focus on just the movie.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
I will say,
and she's just like, fuck y'all, I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna do me. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Embrace the weirdness and then that kind of thing.
Let them watch.
And I think like in the stage version, it is quite a bit shorter. And I think it's effectively to serve as like, Glinda, well, what Fiyero says, like, she doesn't give a wink what anyone thinks. And Glinda says, she does. She just doesn't show it. And I feel like that's kind of the summary of it is she's trying to say like, I don't care what any of you think. I'm going to do my own dancing. But that's also the moment where it's like Glinda showing like making herself vulnerable in order to like make Elphaba more accepted by her peers. And so it's pretty quick in the stage show. But I just feel like because of the strength of like Ariana's facial performance that John Chu was probably just like, let's just stick with this. For longer than maybe
you could tell she just felt like a bag of dicks when she came in. She was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Because that was right after
she gave her that.
McGonagall is like, hey, she recommended me.
She is McGonagall,
And also like a credit to like the dance choreography in Wicked, I think was really good, especially like all the reels that came out of it, like the TikTok stuff with the books, that book dance everywhere.
What is this feeling? Yeah.
Incredible.
I feel like
throwaway in the show, but
the controversial Wicked opinion I have that I do feel compelled to share, but I don't want people to change their opinion of me, hopefully, is that I would watch the rock DJ sequence from the Robbie Williams Monkey movie. I would rather watch that for 2 hours and 40 minutes straight than watch Wicked.
honestly,
wow,
it's an incredible sequence.
It's a lot of fun.
Hey, that movie,
I've watched it
underrated.
twice.
I'm eager to see it.
Yeah, we watched it the other day.
Oh, I cannot
Underrated.
wait for
It's
your
a ton
review.
of fun.
Yeah,
It's a ton of fun.
Everyone's like, it's great.
Yeah.
And see, I
pretty
like
fun.
a jukebox musicals. Musicals. They're fun. Like, I like
Maybe
you.
that's
And
a
also,
difference too. Like I love that movie because it, like, I feel like Wicked is just, it's a serious, you love musicals.
It's a pretty classic like take on a film interpretation of a stage musical, though. It's not particularly like inventive or original in how it approaches it.
Do you think, like, for your dollar, is this the best movie adaptation of a stage play, like musical? I'm just curious because again, I think this deserves to be in the top 5. Again, I'm like, any of my criticisms, don't listen to them. It's not for me. I don't care. This impact is undeniable.
Yeah, you wish she wasn't green. You wish she was a different
Yo, bro, just wipe it off. Like,
It's actually, it's hard to answer that question without being influenced by the fact that like Wicked is my favorite musical.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Everything I said
You
before.
don't have to apologize.
Total joke. Total joke.
Well, and you were talking about the film, right?
Yeah,
So,
I haven't seen the play.
Yeah.
And if I'm seeing a play like live, that's enjoyable. It's such a different it's such different energy and stuff,
Yeah,
you know, and like
and for me it was like
sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, when she does like one of the opening songs, The Wizard and I, like, I remember seeing that for the first time, not knowing Wicked at all, and just like tearing up, my jaw dropping, giving a standing ovation, because I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Like, I think there's something that you undeniable about the live interpretation of the musical. That's
right.
When I watched The Wizard and I in the movie, I was like, this is very cool, but it doesn't hit as hard.
I think also just like, I mean, I ended up watching like John Chu interviews, just like hearing his take on how he like created it and like brought it to life. And you can tell like with his directorial style is that like he really took a lot of care into like recreating this musical for the big screen and like doing as much practical stuff as he could to make it feel more authentic. I mean, like obviously there's a lot of CG in this movie too, but like where he could, he did practical stuff. And I feel like that
practical sets and stuff.
And that stuff shows because it's like, oh, there's a bit more care to it than like some other movies that just kind of like, you know, throw money at it and put a CG screen on it.
Something, whenever I started the movie, it was like a couple musical numbers into it. And I was just like, I was like, I think I would enjoy this more on stage. Cause like on stage, it's like, they're giving it like every night too. And I'm like, there's no cuts. And like in the movie is like, they cut every 4 seconds. And it's like, well, you could be like, all right, everybody take 5, reset. Da-da. And it's just like a lot of the like the magic and like the impressiveness of like live theater that didn't translate as much. But then if I was a fan of the play to see it in a movie, I'm like, hell yeah, this is like, I can watch this at home now. Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think like there was a thing that was saying that the actors and actresses were singing the songs while like doing these actions like on set, which I think is like a huge difference because I think like other
and the music that we hear in the film was recorded live. Yeah,
exactly. So like a lot
like
of
Les Mis.
Yep.
Yeah, so like a lot of musicals and stuff, like it's just like pre-recorded and they're just kind of mouthing it on, like, you know, whatever. But like, Cynthia was like actually kind of getting flipped in the air while doing Defying Gravity, which is like, how are you singing while like being tossed around like that? That's kind of
that girl is
fucking nuts.
Fit.
Or like Ariana Grande,
core
like,
strength.
She's like singing while like hanging on a chandelier. Like that's kind of nuts too. I don't know.
She does her own stunts.
Pretty nuts.
In the play Defying Gravity, does she like zip off on a broom at that or something?
So basically it fades to black when she hits the da 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 da.
Wait, is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Should we all do our best impression? I'm just joking.
And then
I've never heard
and
the
it's
song.
What?
It's
no, it actually
I don't have
is.
TikTok.
It's wonderful.
it might drive you nuts because they make it 12 minutes.
Are you serious?
But
Like,
I did find the finale of that movie quite effective because by the time it ends, I'm kind of checked out, and then as soon as that starts up again, I'm like, oh no, that movie was good. Like the ending, ending is very effective.
And they end on the tip, doom, 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 doom.
But they add some like in the stage show, she hits the high note, and then it instantly like curtain falls. But they add some content. I felt like they could have
added the timpanis at the end of this one.
Yeah, but they add some like narrative content as well afterwards. I thought that they were going to end it there. So the other thing
they're like, and now she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
Last thing I need you to know, Taylor, is that she has a black cape, right?
Yeah.
And in the final scene in Defying Gravity, the cape gets progressively longer and longer until it's like 200 feet long and hanging from her as she floats.
I
above
misspoke
the earth.
earlier.
Amazing.
It sounds like she is serving a little bit of cunt by the end of the movie, and we love that.
She definitely gets there.
Yeah.
Okay, Wicked number 5. Number 4. What's number 4? Again, we have Nickel Boys, Honora, The Substance Challengers.
I want to go opposite. I know, like, I feel like I have an opinion on what should be number 1.
We can't say that. We can't say that. That is
I know.
insane.
I know.
Insane.
But through process of elimination.
I don't really care about the order of the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. What's number 4? I think for me, I could see either Nickel Boys or The Substance as number 4.
I was kind of thinking those would probably be the number 4 contenders.
4
just
and
based
3,
on
one of the like.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't really. I don't know.
Laura hasn't seen The Substance,
correct.
and you're like warm on Nickel Boys, so that's why I figured those two would be like.
I feel like I'm coming off a little too hard on Nickel Boys. I enjoyed the film. I just wish it hit me a little bit harder. And then, like, of course, being a little bit sensitive to motion sickness, like, kind of hit me a few times, which is like, that's just a bummer on my end. I'm not sure if that will hit everyone else. But
was that hard for you? Did you see what those boys went through, Tom?
Try living with motion sickness, okay? Try not being able to.
I can't ride the bus.
It's hard. I guess if I were to, if it was me, I would probably put Nickel Boys 4 and Substance 3. That's where I would go.
Having not seen Substance, I don't think I can weigh in.
I do want to tell Laura about the mirror sequence in The Substance.
Please.
So basically, the context of the scene is she's going on a date, and she gets herself. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's with this guy that she went to school with, and he like kind of seems like a loser. Like she would never give him the time of day.
And he was
but she's in this
obsessed with her,
mindset,
too.
like she's gotten fired. She thinks she's like old, and so she decides that she's going to go out with him. She gets all dolled up, and she's looking in the mirror, and she doesn't think she looks good enough. Like it makes me want to cry. She doesn't think she looks good enough. Like she doesn't feel confident enough. And he's texting her, "Where are you? Where are you?" And that's when she starts to like take her makeup off, and it gets more violent, and you can just feel how much she hates herself. Oh, it just crushed me. I feel like that scene was, and then she ends up not going on the date because she just can't bring herself to face it. And just like the self-destruction in that scene. I'm like, also, how many times have I looked in the mirror and been like, I just don't look good enough for this. I was like, this girl gets it.
That's why I don't have mirrors in my house.
Oscar bait.
That's why I don't have TikTok or mirrors.
Those front-facing cameras are harsh. Her performance is incredible. Like she does a lot, and it's like funny.
Meaty.
It
role
is really
too.
funny.
Oh, what? Sorry.
It sounds like a meaty role too.
Yeah, she gets to do a lot. Also, like, shout out to Mike Madison for her movie, but like the physicality, the stuff that these women are doing in these movies, like I feel like they.
Oh my gosh.
So much training, unbelievable.
Yeah. Like
it's exhausting watching them.
I haven't seen a lot of strippers in my life, but watching Honora, I was like, she's real good.
That looks very difficult.
Very difficult.
Totally.
And she made it look very easy. I was like, this girl's crushing it.
Yeah. Good for her.
There was I was just reminded of like this. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, like like an interview with Mikey, and like she was just like talking about her training for Honora, and she was just like, yeah, and like I've never done any stripping before, and I got really good at like stripping and all that other stuff, and the audience starts to laugh at like it, like thinking it's like a joke or whatever, and then she turns to the audience. She's like, no, like I'm serious. Like, like this shit is hard, and I got really good at it. And the people who do this deserve, like, she was implying all this, like, deserve more respect than like stripping is a punchline.
Sean Baker's like goals and intentions with the film too, right? Is to make like this idea of like, I mean, not that stripping is sex work, but like stripping and sex work as two different things, as like. Not something to laugh at, but as viable.
And then, like, I think
careers.
Jimmy Kimmel was just like saying something like, not Jimmy Kimmel, it was Jimmy Fallon. And anyways, it was like, oh, and your parents watched this film? Trying to get like an easy laugh from the audience, and the audience starts to laugh, and she's like, yeah, and they're really proud of it, and they watched it multiple times.
Good for her.
And I really love that about, like, I was like, oh, she's a cool person, just like standing up for this. It's like, yeah, fuck you. Like, why are you trying to like diminish my work by saying?
It's probably because Jimmy Fallon sucks.
Yeah, I really like that. Going back to The Substance for a second, I want to do like a little spoiler thing of like the movie at one point, like, of course there's like a lot of gore and like a lot of over the top violence, and it is kind of like nasty at some points with like, skin ripping open, needles, and like blood, and like just like the old people, which gets like, and the makeup in The Substance is insane. But like towards the end, it becomes like this, like almost when the third act hits, it's like almost an entirely different film, because you get Monster Sue at the end,
Monstro Alyssa Sue or whatever it's
which
called.
is just like the worst version of what The Substance can do for you. It's when you take it like more than once. And like she becomes this like crazy, I don't know, like horror movie character. And that last bit of the film, I think it's like only 20, 30 minutes of Monster Suit is like bananas. And that's when it becomes like cartoonish. Yeah.
When
like,
she's on the stage, it's just like, oh, they love me.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
blood all over the audience. It's a wild time. That said, I think it sounds like Nickel Boys 4, Substance 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just say it's heavy, but Coralie Falget, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Like
Falget? Yeah. Her last movie, Revenge, which I saw a while ago, it's just like, it's a French flick. It is like a rape revenge movie, which I typically don't like that subgenre, like Last House on the Left or whatever, Straw Dogs. But one, they don't show it, so love that. But like it's a similar thing where like the end, like I've never seen, well, up until the Substance, like more blood just like splayed, and it just keeps going, and then you're just like, it's so funny. They're just like running in circles and circles and circles, and just blood just keeps going, and it's like she's European, so it's a different sensibility, just this like weird sense of humor and like funny, like she's like, I'm gonna push it, and like you think this is far, it's like, hold on to your butts, we haven't even introduced you to Monstro. It's like, to who? Like she just keeps pushing it. But that movie it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Shout out to Coralie Farja for getting an Oscar nom this year.
Yeah, I think one of 10 women ever nominated.
Wow,
crazy. Do better, the Academy. That should just be like,
do better. Why? Yeah, Amelia Perez, get out of here. Like, what do you Number 2.
Go here.
Number 2.
Okay.
I think number 2 should be Challengers.
Oh, I thought you were going Challengers 1.
Interesting.
That's what I was thinking,
I think
too.
I could go either way. I think I probably enjoyed Challengers more, but like objectively, Anora is probably the better film.
I think for me, I like Challengers more than Anora, even though I really liked Anora. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Challengers is just like, how much slow-mo can you put
slow-mo and sweat
in a film? And the answer is yes. Like,
yo, tennis ball point of view.
Oh,
who knew?
Yeah,
who knew?
And in the final scene where it's meant to be like this deciding point of who's going to win the match, which like is ultimately meaningless. Like you get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't care. I just want this to go forever.
I thought
so. My wardrobe change. Maddie and Hannah got me the "I Told You" shirt.
Amazing.
Best gift of all time.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like the 4th main character in the movie for me.
It's right up there with Keira Knightley's green dress.
Big time.
Yeah.
And what?
It's Atonement.
Okay.
Jennifer Lopez's green dress, Tuong.
Yes.
It was a cultural moment.
This is still going over my
That's
head.
why Google Images exists. Did you know that?
Yes.
So many people were Googling J-Lo green dress.
Oh, nice.
I thought you were.
So they made images. No, I'm not joking.
I thought you were joking. I'm like, oh, okay, no. Sure. Yeah. Wow. Taylor, do you have a preference between Anora and Challengers?
No, I feel like I definitely heard more people talk about Challengers, more just like casuals and stuff. I'm just picturing like if they were on Netflix, I'm like, I could see Challengers being at that like number 1 spot for a day before it's like some 2017 Jason Statham movie, and you're like, why is this number 1? Netflix is weird, but I could see like that one being a little more digestible to like everyone, even though it is like, you know, they get into steamy stuff. I don't know. I do remember Anora more, and I have more to say about that. But I don't know. Like I'm good with yield whatever y'all want.
I love them both. I think Challengers is the fun option. I think Anora has more to say as a movie.
And one thing we haven't really touched on is the ending of Anora, because
this is what I love.
That's what
I love talking about the ending of Anora. I want to hear everyone's interpretation of it.
Well, I would love to hear yours first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about the car, right?
The car.
Yes. Okay, so for people who don't know, Anora has gone on this journey. She marries Annie.
Don't call me Anora.
Yeah, good point.
She marries this super rich Russian guy. Ends up, his parents make them get an annulment. The second part of the movie is like a screwball comedy, and then the third part of the movie is this like absolutely heartbreaking realization that she thought that she had gotten this dream life. Like she lucked into being like this rich guy's wife, and then it all gets taken away from her And she basically is just back at square one. And it is heartbreaking. You're like, this poor girl thought that she was finally changing her life, and she's just going back. So one of the guys who, how do we want to describe Igor? Yeah, one of the goons.
The goon with the heart of gold.
He's the nice
one.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, there's obviously a connection between the two of them. I think Taylor has some good thoughts on like their connection. We've talked about it before, but at the end of the movie, he ends up stealing the engagement ring and giving it to her. So she like has, she can sell it.
It's the size of a fucking lunchbox. It's huge.
Yeah, it's like she's back at square one, but at least she's got this ring she can pawn. And he's dropping her off at her house. She gets back into the car and they start having sex. And then all of a sudden, she kind of breaks down and starts crying. And the thing that I found interesting, I think I kind of want Taylor to go first because I feel like my interpretation goes is a good compliment to yours. But in the scene, she feels like she's in control. She's like, I think the only way she knows how to interact with someone is with her body.
Yeah, that's been her currency her entire life, really.
Yeah, she climbs on top of him, and then there's a moment where he tries to kiss her. And that's where afterwards she kind of breaks into tears. And the thing that I found interesting, I don't think that he had any like aggression. I don't think there was any negativity coming from him. But I did think the way that he was pulling her towards him, to me, signaled she thought she was in control of the situation. And yet again, she's in another situation where at the end of the day, this guy is stronger than her. I don't think he was ever like trying to be aggressive toward her, but that is just the way I interpreted it. And I think there's more to say about her relationship to intimacy and not being able to, the whole pretty woman, I'll do everything but kiss you kind of thing. But I just thought it was really interesting that there is like a bit of a moment of aggression. And yet again, this woman who's trying so hard to take control of her life is unfortunately not in control at all. And it just spoke to me in terms of how much of our life are we in control of and how much, unfortunately, are we just pawns of people who have more power than us. Although I think he was a good guy. I don't think he was.
Yeah.
But that was my take.
Totally. No, I love that, like, just as much. So my take, because, we were texting afterward. We're like, what do you think happened? So, exactly like Liz says, she climbs on top. They start having sex. He goes to kiss her. And then she kind of freaks out. And she's hitting him. And that's the moment where he grabs her. And aggressive. Sure. But I think he was literally just trying to you're going to hurt me. You're going to hurt yourself, because we've seen her. She's a bucking bronco. She goes nuts. So I think that was just him trying to rein her in. And then she breaks down, just absolutely crying, and just kind of lies on top of him. And that's the end of the movie. But my take from that was whenever he's just trying to hold her, and he's just don't, it's going to be okay. And I think she just absolutely loses it because, she deals in sex and she doesn't know how to give any other part of herself. So whenever he's trying to be intimate, she's she doesn't know what to do, and she just absolutely loses it. And she's like, what is happening? And she just it's washing over her, everything that just happened this past crazy couple weeks and days in particular. And everything just all at that exact moment where she's I don't know what I'm doing. And it just all crashes down on her. But then for me, at least it was she did have someone that she did feel safe with a little bit, where it's okay, I don't think that they're gonna end up together necessarily, but it was just that thing of just let's have sex. No, let's just can we just be together? And she's I don't know how to do that. And it's I don't know how to be with myself. I don't know what I'm doing.
That was my interpretation too. Just her entire life, her adult life, her currency was sex and using her body to get what she needed. And then you have this guy who is just a nice guy because he's he likes her for her. And so when she sees his niceness, she's trying to pay him, is the wrong word to say it, but she's trying to show her gratitude to him in the only way that she can, or she knows how to do. And he kind of stops her. And in a way, the way I saw it was that he said, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. He's the first person who sees her for her and doesn't need that other stuff to appreciate what she's doing. So when he stops her, it's kind of one of these things where she's just oh yeah, I just don't know what to do with myself, because that's kind of what people have always wanted from me is my body.
Right. It's like, I am giving myself to you. It's like, no, like not that. Like I want like what's up in here, what's in here.
So that was my interpretation as well. I'm not sure, Laura, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I think that element of control that has come up was part of like how I interpreted it. And this idea that like as long as she was using her body, or as long as she had control of her body, she was in control. But when he goes to try and kiss her, it was like a level of intimacy that she didn't know how to deal with. And I think like the crying or her kind of like breaking down could be interpreted in a few ways. Like, was it because this was the first time that she'd ever like felt respected and felt kindness from a man? Was it because like the events of the past 24 hours or however long were just hitting her for the first time? Was it because she just felt so lost in life? I don't know what the answer is there. I don't know. Like maybe we're not.
I love that it could be all of those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do think that it really brought another level of depth to the movie, though, that maybe without that scene, it would have been a really different film.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a good chunk of the movie, it just becomes a comedy, and then it ends on such a heavier.
Yeah, how did you guys feel as the wipers of the car? Like, what was the feeling you were left with?
So did it cut from them to the wipers?
Or we hear the wipers.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the image is, but I remember that's the sound. You just hear the wipers going back and forth.
Yeah. I didn't think about it at the time, but I guess it's like there's always an opportunity to like restart, but snow be falling.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's just like, oh, they're there to like clean it, but like that just keeps going.
It just keeps going. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, it's raining hard.
Well, I also, it was like the end of the Florida Project. Like I loved how like I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's when she like runs away and goes to Disneyland, which she wanted to do the whole movie. She never got to go. But like, I just, I had so many like interpretations at the end of that movie. And like, I really like that. And Red Rocket ends pretty ambiguously. Like, I like that when a director's like, I'm not going to give you all the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, Sean, is this what you meant? He's like, you know what? If that's what it meant to you, then yes. Like,
I don't
that's
always
kind
like it, but I respect it.
Yeah.
Also, like, Sean Baker to me reminds me of my boy Steven Soderbergh so much. Where like I mentioned that like Soderbergh, I think, does a really good job of showcasing these people who like fall through the cracks of society that most people overlook. And you could look at like Bubble or The Girlfriend Experience, which is actually probably closer to this, or even the first Magic Mike movie. I don't know if people go back to that one or just go to XXL, but like the first one is grimy. It's gross. It's not like they're in like the kitchen out back before they go do the strip show, all using the same like cock pump. It's just like, ew, this world sucks. It's so gross. And it's just like and like Honora feels like that to me too, where it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna like, it almost feels like you're like opening a door or something. I'm like, I'm gonna show you guys something that like you shouldn't necessarily be seeing. And be like, this is what happens in these places. And it's just like, you feel like you're a fly on the wall and you'd be like, ooh, I should like, this is very intimate. And then like, oh my God, you guys, I'm sorry. Like they're having a moment in the car. Like I need to just go away. Like but I love that. And because it feels more real to me, that's why I'm like, it's not clean and doesn't necessarily have all the answers that you might want.
Yeah.
It's like emotional versus sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot to, just because, you know, we talked a while about Honora. Anything else to add about challengers before we figure out where we want our 2 and 1?
Scene. Oh my God, the churro scene. Oh, the way he slides that stool over to him. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I don't remember.
You don't
It's
remember?
been so long since I saw it.
I love asking people if their team are Team Patrick or Team Tashi.
Oh, man.
I always say I'm a Patrick girly, and that tells you everything that's wrong with me.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the rich one? Who's the poor one?
Patrick.
Patrick is the messy one.
Is that Josh O'Connor?
Okay.
Yeah.
Art is the clean cut one.
I really enjoy challengers and like the weird throuple dynamic and like how they need each other. And I love that in the end is like they kind of just show you at the end where like one of them gets the point, or they're all just like the 2 of them are just smiling at each other, where they're no longer like rivals at the end. They're just kind of fucking loving it because they all have this fucked up relationship. And Zendaya, who is like, she's been trying to keep things together as like a normal person would, and trying to be like, you know, supportive to her husband, but in the end she needs both of them at the same time. So when that point happens and she gets up and she starts screaming like, yeah, tennis,
she just needs competition.
It's like there's something in that scream that like kind of encapsulates the entire movie for me, which is like, yeah, they all have this drive about tennis, but also with each other, and that they, no matter how much they get into a fight and how much drama is here or there or whatever, is that they just need each other. And like, I was trying to explain like that to like other people who have watched Challengers, because like a complaint that I've heard was like, but we don't get to see who wins. And I'm like, well, it's not really about the match itself. It's about them as a trio, and that's way more important than the match. But like I get that some people just wanted to be like, well, who wins the match? Who cares?
One of those, we're destined to do this forever.
Yeah, and that dynamic is something that I have not seen really in too many movies either. It's just like this messed up throuple, and I think it was very juicy because of it.
Well, and I think like there's not a ton of tennis movies out there.
Don't knock Wimbledon.
7 Days in Hell and Wimbledon. But I feel like so much of them, like Wimbledon is a rom-com, but it's also just like a classic underdog sports film, right? But this movie has so little to do with tennis. Like there's so much tennis happening, but really it's just the interpersonal dynamics and like the competitiveness that they place in the world of tennis, that it could be anywhere, but I fucking love that it is in the world of tennis because they get cute outfits and like they're all sweaty and shit. It's great.
When Zendaya like breaks her knee in that one scene, it was just like, ouch, you can feel it.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I do think like the soundtrack adds so much to it though. Like I feel like it just elevates the movie to another level for me. So I can go either way between Anora and Challengers. I have Challengers higher on my list of preferred movies. I think Anora is a movie that you can really dive deeper into like the ending, like we just talked about, and those themes and things like that. I'm pretty sure like you can get stuff out of that with just the dynamic of these three messed up tennis players as well. Like we can definitely have a conversation over it about that, but I'm cool whatever way we lean as well. My vote would be Challengers, but by a smidge, that's kind of where I'm also like, I'll say that I feel like Challengers was shafted this year in a lot of just like recognition from like awards shows in general. I feel like it's just not as, I don't know, people just don't seem to care for it as much as I did this year anyways.
Also, fun fact about Challengers. Did you know the man who wrote it is married to the woman who wrote Past Lives?
No way.
What is that relationship?
That's great. I love that.
That's nuts.
That makes you think.
Who is their third?
I need to know.
Yeah, true. I think I would give it to Anora. As much as I love Challengers and I'm much more likely to watch Challengers again than Anora, I think when we look back a decade from now, I think Anora is going to be the movie from this year that maybe sticks with people a little bit more. And Challengers will be the one when we're scrolling through streaming services, or maybe just one service by a decade from now. Maybe we'll just live in the internet.
Or just like listen to the soundtrack.
We're just going to be like, oh shit, that movie. And then
that was good.
Yeah.
I'm much more like probably going to listen to the soundtrack like of Challengers outside of watching it. Like I probably would do that before watching it again.
Yeah.
No joke. I wanted to get a playlist of like the stripping songs from Anora. I was like, some of these are bangers.
Yeah.
Did you know the first song is Take That? Robbie Williams' band?
Hey,
except it was after he left the band, but fun fact, I've been converted to a Robbie Williams fan. If you can't
fuck
tell.
Gary Barlow. Just kidding. He's very talented.
Get out of here, guys.
Robbie Williams is always on celebrity goggle boxes. So next time there's one of those, I'll text you.
Alyssa's been watching tons of YouTube videos of monkeys just doing cocaine.
No, literally, I've been radicalized to the Robbie Williams fan club.
All right. Well, with that said, I feel like Alyssa, you're Anora. I'm slightly Challengers. Taylor, you don't care. Like you're whatever.
No,
and Laura's Anora as well.
They're both Anora, so I'll lean that way just to speed things up.
Yeah. All right. I think we have our top 5 movies of 2024 for the last time.
Whoa.
We did it.
And ranked, here we go. Number 5, Wicked. Number 4, Nickel Boys. Number 3, The Substance. Number 2, Challengers. And number 1, Anora. Wow.
That's a good list.
It's a good
I feel
list.
like we're always like, our lists when we get the 5 are like, Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Amelia Perez isn't on this list? Yeah. I feel good about that. Alyssa was making a face.
Amelia Perez, I just can't.
Are you man or woman or man? That's one of the...
I thought that was actually like a joke. I did not.
That's
when I thought that was a real part of the movie, I was like, wow, this was a choice.
It's fucking bad. All right. I want to get into honorable mentions here of any movies that you guys enjoyed. You don't have to talk about the movies at deep length. If you made a ordered list, you can say it. Or if not, you can just say the movies that you enjoyed this year. I'll start with Laura. Do you just want to say all of them?
I just have a few. So I want to shout out Fall Guy. I really enjoyed that movie. I think it got some hate and it didn't do very well at the box office, but I thought it was a ton of fun. Yeah.
And great press junket too.
Yeah. Twisters, again.
Love.
Ton of fun. And, I believed the science behind it.
I picture you in the theater with just like a bunch of like books and charts. You're like, yes,
I can't stop a tornado.
I think they're right.
Oh my God, it's twins.
And then I want to give a dishonorable mention to Moana 2, which is one of the movies that has made me the angriest I've ever been in my life, because what a waste.
Ferrari or
what a waste.
Moana 2.
Honestly, probably Moana 2, just because of like the background that I know behind it. That it would it's just a money grab. It's entirely they're not true to the character. It's cheap. It's the animation's beautiful, but like the story, the songs, all
we
of
talk
it
about
is
on
just
Disney Dummies. Listen to Disney Dummies.
If it was the series, because it was a series, right? Do you think you would have been like more like, okay?
I would have been fine with it if it was a series. I think like the whole thing about animated series is that like they're very much like, okay, let's just make more of this content and it's going to be formulaic. But the fact that they were like, no, it's good enough to put on the big screen. Well, like, yes, the animation was good enough. The animation is stunning, and like so much respect to the animators who worked on it. But the story was so low quality, and and I feel bad for the songwriters as well. Barlow and Bear,
Emily
I think.
Bear,
yeah, who did the Bridgerton musical.
It's only because Disney wanted to, they needed a win, so they're like, let's take a franchise that has done well in the past.
It made so much money.
And move it up.
And they basically, I think, said to the songwriters, like, okay, just take the 5 songs from the original and rewrite them, like new versions of each of those, rather than like giving these up and coming songwriters an opportunity to show their actual skills.
And I'm guessing they're just like shadows of the first, like
absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I heard a theory. I don't know if this is true or you have any insight, but someone is like that they have been working on the Moana sequel for a while, but like then they're just like, you know what? Let's take the series, make that Moana 2, and like they're just still gonna keep like what was going to be the second movie will just be Moana 3.
I don't think they were. At least I haven't heard. Haven't heard that a second movie was in production separate from the series. I'd only heard that the series was in production. And actually, because they announced the production of the series, and it was only earlier this year, I think, or at the very end of, early 2024, or at the very end of 2023, that they were like, oh yeah, Moana 2 is coming out next year. By the way, and everyone's like, how? That's impossible.
And it ends with a Thanos stinger. Like actually, it's like here's the big bad for the next movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a cloud or an island.
Something like that. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Moving on.
Moving on. We don't have to talk about that. We complain a lot about it in the Disney Dummies episode. Yeah. Alyssa, any movies? Shout them all out.
Okay, some fun ones. Rebel Ridge. Well, I don't know. Would you say Rebel Ridge? Would you describe that as fun? I don't know. Great movie.
Popcorn action. So fun.
I didn't like it.
So good.
Rebel Ridge, great. Thelma, I thought was just like the sweetest movie ever. Love. Obviously, Better Man, the Robbie Williams monkey movie. Give it a shot,
Better
people.
Man.
We paid the full rental price for it.
We paid $24.99 for that baby.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Did you feel like it was worth it?
It was fun. I liked it.
I would say wait till the $6.99.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to watch it in time for this podcast in case it climbed up.
Just in case it was a sleeper.
I should have pitched it. I'm a big fan of a movie. It's called Good One. That's one to check out. Kind of it is another kind of coming of age movie. And then, Dune 2. Good one. I was a big fan of My Old Ass. And if you wanted a really classic biopic tearjerker, would kill at like a family movie night, Young Woman in the Sea. It's just like, it's a nice time.
Daisy Ridley?
A biopic?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's on Disney, isn't it?
It is. It's very formulaic. It's, you know exactly what's going to happen. It's a really nice time.
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Alyssa, I'm very curious.
Nice.
Later, you can send me your top 10 of the year from your letterbox. I'm very curious because you watched 70 movies this year?
Yeah.
And you rated them all?
Yeah, I ranked. You
did the ranking?
Wow. I did.
I need to see it later.
I do change the ranking sometimes.
I mean,
though,
who doesn't?
But
yeah, who doesn't? Taylor, from the heart, anything else that you want to shout out from 2024 besides Craven?
Yeah, just Craven all day. Craven, Borderlands, the Rebel Moon series. No,
Irish Wish, Lindsay Lohan. He loved that movie.
Hot Frosty.
Hot Frosty.
Despicable Me
He wasn't
4.
hot
Oh
enough.
my God.
Hot take, wasn't hot enough. He was actually he looked ill.
Hot take. Yeah, he needed a sandwich. Oh my goodness.
And a haircut. Ooh.
Oh,
Jeez.
woof. No, ones I did enjoy, A Different Man. That was one of my theatery ones.
I like that one too.
So funny. My review for that was If the Substance was made by Charlie Kaufman.
That's good.
That Ghostlight was incredible.
So
just an indie flick. Really, really good. I
heard of
recommend. I think you guys would dig this.
Not about ghosts?
No, surprising. I didn't know. As theater people, do you know about the ghost light?
It's the light you leave on the stage.
That's what it's about. Yeah, it's a construction worker. He's going through some stuff, and then there's like a tiny little like theater in a strip mall, essentially. And like they're just like, oh, we're putting on a play. Like, come be in it with us. And he's like, I don't do acting stuff. And they're like, I think you need it, and it's really good.
Nice.
That Kneecap. I don't know if anybody saw
Haven't
Kneecap.
seen it yet.
Dude, what a like kinetic, like so fun. Like you're gonna be like, I want to learn Irish so I can sing these songs. It's really good. Also, the band, like they played themselves in the movie, and I didn't realize that.
That's cool.
It's really good, a lot of fun. What was it called? Small Things Like These, another Irish movie. The Cillian Murphy. Really good, really quiet, but like really intense. And Last Stop in Yuma County. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It's so fun. It's very like Coen Brothers-y, very dark,
interesting,
very funny. I think it's on like Prime or something now too, so people can check that one out. But it's like
90 minutes too.
It flows by. It's very just a bunch of people basically at like a rest stop, and like it's kind of like new people come in and out, and it's crazy, very violent, very funny.
All right,
cool.
I can't really remember those. Those are the ones that stuck out to me as being a lot of fun.
Nice. For myself, I quickly drew together a top 10, but I did it like 15 minutes before this podcast started. It probably could change. But here is the 10 that I wrote in order. 10, I give a shout out to Deadpool and Wolverine because it's the first Marvel movie that I enjoyed in a very long time. And
second highest grossing film of the year too.
Yeah, I went twice to the movie theater. I went twice to the movie theater for it, and like I haven't gone to a Marvel movie in forever, and I don't know, I enjoyed it a lot. Will and Harper, I really enjoyed that documentary.
Fantastic,
so good, so timely even now. Just like holy shit. Number 8, A Real Pain. Number 7, The Substance. Number 6, Late Night with the Devil. Really enjoyed that. 5, Wicked. 4, Challengers. 3, Flow. 2, Dee Dee. And 1, Hundreds of Beavers.
There it is.
Shout out to a few extra ones. Wild Robot, Dune, Twisters, The Brutalist. I really enjoyed the performances in The Brutalist. And I didn't feel the runtime in that one because intermissions in movies, who knew?
Bring them back.
Pretty awesome.
Bring them back. They're fantastic.
They're pretty awesome. When it happened in The Brutalist, I'm like, oh my God, perfectly placed. Perfect. But before we wrap up for our last movies episode, I just sent a text to the group here. And basically, I want to do like a small exercise here. It shouldn't take too much time. But through the years, we've been doing this since 2016, if you can believe it or not, this Movies of the Years episode, even though we missed one. I wrote down some movies that we wrote down for our top 5. Although some years, like 2016, I didn't actually write it down. I'd have to re-listen
you
to
couldn't find it, yeah.
I couldn't find it. The way I wrote it on the website didn't make sense. I'd have to re-listen to it, and I didn't want to listen to 2016 Tuong talk about movies. So I'm going to read you the list that we made in every single year, and I just want to get this group's take on what your favorite year was for movies. That's it. I just want to know. So in 2016, the movies that we talked about were La La Land, Sing Street, Hunt for the Wilder People, Arrival, Moana 1, and Moonlight. In 2017, our top 5 was Call Me By Your Name, number 4, Florida Project, 3, Logan, 2, Lady Bird, 1, Get Out. Were you on that podcast, Taylor? It feels like a you.
Yeah, I was Florida Project.
2018, number 5 was Mission Impossible Fallout. Number 4.
I can't believe that wasn't for me.
Were you on that? Maybe. Number 4 was The Favorite, 3, Game Night, 2, 8th Grade, and 1, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. 2019, number 5 was Joker. How did that get in there? What the hell? Number 4, 1917. Number 3, Knives Out. Number 2, Jojo Rabbit. And number 1, Parasite. 2020, we didn't actually do a list, but I looked up the Oscar nominees that year just to see what movies came out that year, which was Nomadland, Sound of Metal, Mank, Promising Young Woman, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Trial of Chicago 7, Soul, Wolfwalkers, and Onward. In 2021, we went back to making top 5s. The Mitchells versus the Machines, 4, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, 3, Pig, 2, Dune, and 1, Coda. In 2022, 5, Tar. Lydia Tar. Number 4, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. 3, The Banshees of Inisherin. 2, Top Gun Maverick. Oh yeah, Alyssa was on that episode. Number 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once. In 2023, 5 was Killers of the Barbie Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon. 4, Barbie. 3, American Fiction. 2, The Holdovers. Oh, such a good movie. And number 1, Past Lives. And then once again, our list this year was 5, Wicked, 4, Nickel Boys, 3, The Substance, 2, Challengers, and 1, Anora. All that said, I said a lot of words just now. I just want to know what your favorite year was in movies from the ones that I just listed. And you just have to pick one.
It's tough. I'll tell you what, it's not 2020.
I think 2022 for me.
Which was Everything Everywhere All at Once, Top Gun, Banshees, Marcel, and Tar. Interesting. Yeah.
I think 2023 for me. 2019 seems like kind of a stinker to me.
Yeah.
Parasite's good.
Parasite. Yeah. I mean, Knives Out is super fun.
It's good.
I love Jojo Rabbit. I love the top 3 that we had. But yeah.
Was Promising Young Woman really 2020?
I guess. Sorry, so Taylor, you said 2023? That's the Past Lives and Barbie?
So.
And, yeah.
I look at that and I'm still like, Oppenheimer should have been there, but I'm like, but where? It's so tricky.
But where?
But
yeah.
But where, yeah. Yeah, I think the last 2 years have been the strongest. Maybe it's just like time.
Recency
2016 is good too, though. 2016 is a good year.
Okay, but here's the thing about the 2016 list is that it wasn't necessarily the top 5 of this group. Because I remember on the O.J. Simpson, 9-hour miniseries.
Joel?
Somehow made
Joel.
Joel.
I remember that.
And he
on the first
hated Amy
episode.
Adams.
Yeah.
So based on this list, I might pick 2016, but because I know that's not the actual list, I think I'm going to
We knew
go with
Arrival was
2023.
that was those were the top picks from that year. I feel like
Sing Street was great though.
yeah.
Sing Street was so good. Earlier when I was
was
like,
good.
I like some musical movies, Sing Street was the first one that popped in.
Yeah.
But it's different.
It was hard for me to go back to 2016 because it was the very first episode of the show. It was the format wasn't there for us.
Also, we used one of the songs from Sing Street as our wedding song.
That's true. We did.
Cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your year, Tuong? Did you pick?
I didn't pick. I'm looking through it and I'm thinking, God, I actually think the last 2 years have been the best.
Those are strong.
I'm looking at last year and I'm like, holy shit. I love Past Lives. I love The Holdovers. I loved American Fiction. I loved Barbie.
Top Gun Maverick.
Killers of the Flower Moon was good. It was just those are crazy. And the year Everything Everywhere All at Once hit was
Jenny the Donkey.
insane. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And 2019 is such a weird one for me. When I'm looking at this, I'm like, why did we put Joker on this list?
A lot of the list, it's a lot of the other lists have maybe 1 or 2 that you're like, what's that?
What?
Yeah.
But 22 and 3, I'm like, that is.
They're strong.
It's because that's
I'd be like, I'd watch
we
any
did
of
it
those.
together. This group made those lists.
Oh, fair.
Do we love our own opinions?
Confirmation bias. And I didn't even know it.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
Of course.
I love that. I don't know who dropped out. I hope they're thriving, but that was such a gift that they dropped out and we got Laura in the mix.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's very
that's really
kind of
nice.
you.
We love
who
Laura.
did-
I remember you said she was a silver
Zavala.
medal or something. I'd be like, what?
Navala was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yep.
true.
One of my wedding vows was I will always be your backup podcast guest.
Yeah.
And that was the time I
But
actually got pulled in.
listen, everyone else, and Laura's been amazing, obviously.
that's very nice.
Everybody else who's been on the podcast for the movies episode, we appreciate their opinion as well, of course. But also, why was Joker on the list that year? What the fuck?
Go back, figure out who nominated
What
it.
were we doing?
Turned out it's me. I'm like,
Yeah, Taylor, you love the second Joker
Do you
movie.
think if the second Joker...
oh, that was this year too.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
I didn't see it.
I don't know if
Nobody
anyone
did.
did.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't see it either.
But do you think if that movie hadn't come out, we would be shitting on Joker as much? Like, is it only because of the sequel that
No.
the first one doesn't seem as good?
I didn't like the first one.
Gotcha.
I remember going to I was at a restaurant and there was a server. He's like, "Did you guys see Joker?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What'd you think?" I was like, "It wasn't really for me." He's like, "You just didn't get it." I was like, "Okay." Like, yeah, sure.
just didn't
Here's your
get
tip.
Shout out to 2018 as well. I think 2018 was a strong year with 8th Grade and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's a great 1-2
really,
punch. Yeah.
Really good stuff. Anyways, amazing. Well, this feels like emotional.
End of an era.
End of an era.
Crazy.
I feel like I'm accepting the Oscar award for all of us right now. All of us can be on stage. I'm sorry, all of us can be on stage.
No, you deserve it, Doug. You go up
Lifetime
there.
Achievement Award.
You're the
Are you
producer.
Are you ending like just ranked? Are you like wrapping all your shows? We were wondering that the other day. We don't know.
I'm ending Ranked for sure. Disney Dummies will be on just a very limited kind of cadence
When
until
new movies come out.
until
that makes
baby,
sense.
Until baby is all good and born and stuff.
Or
but
until we finally reject Disney for
yeah, I'm
the
just-
corporate
Yeah,
model that
they are throating the boot right now, and it's
Yeah.
embarrassing to
throating
see.
the boot. I've never heard that before, but I like it.
What is throating the? I can see booting
Instead of
the
licking
throat.
the boot,
Throating. Oh man, yeah. Alyssa seems to like that one. She's laughing a lot at that.
Yeah,
she's gonna
that was
start
pretty
using
funny.
that.
I will be using that.
Yeah. Or we're just waiting for the baby to be old enough to be on the podcast with us. Then maybe that's when.
Cute.
No, because
What is the baby's name gonna be? And is it gonna be a
little
name
baby
from the top 5
content
movies?
law.
Yeah.
Alyssa, I love that you asked that.
I don't actually expect you to reveal the baby name,
No.
but just know that I will be waiting.
It's Tar. It's Tar.
I will be refresh, waiting for that baby name.
I will just say that our current frontrunner is certainly movie related.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. That does
We're
not narrow it
excited.
down. It does not narrow it down at all.
Leave it at that.
But yeah, this
But
episode.
not named after the movie character. It just happens to be a movie character.
Okay,
you're
wait.
Maybe
giving
called
too much.
cinema.
Yes. It's going to be called Dune Popcorn Bucket.
Yeah.
Law. But yeah, this has been such a fun time. I always look forward to, just like the video games episode every single year, the movies episode is one that we do pretty much every single year, except for 2020. Except I think that year, maybe we did the top 5 movies of the decade, Taylor. We did that one time, which was
Wow.
insane.
That was fun. We had Sean.
Yeah.
And Steph. That was a
Yeah,
fun one.
that was a lot of fun.
What I like, yeah, absolutely no shade to everyone else that's been on the show. I love hearing everyone's opinions. But what I like about this group is doing it a couple years in a row. That like now January rolls around and I'm like, ooh, what are they gonna say? Like, and you get to know like the dynamics of the
Yeah.
group a little bit more. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, what are they
And-
gonna pick? And that's fun.
And preferences. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I'm
it's like I don't need to nominate this because I know that like Tuong's gonna say this. So
Yeah.
Or
and
Laura's
then
going to say Wicked and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming.
But I'm looking forward to continuing talking about movies with this group outside of a podcast kind of platform. But yeah, like I said, this movies episode is one that I always look forward to doing every single year. It was the very first episode of the show. It's insane that we've done this for like, 8 years now, 8-9 episodes of just movies of the year episodes. And yeah, it certainly feels like the end of an era, but loved every minute of it because it's fun to talk about movies with people who like movies. And it's less fun to talk about movies who is like, I've never heard of Tom Cruise.
Who is that
there's,
person?
some
Get
people-
them out of my life.
People I talk to at work and they'd be like, I've never heard of this movie. I'm like, you've never heard of fucking the biggest movie that came out this year? Like that's insane to me because that's not how my brain operates at all. But yeah, with all of that said, a pleasure, Alyssa, Taylor, and Laura. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
so
Tuong.
much.
Thank you.
Been a slice, of course. Before we go, I know people don't have much things to plug these days, but let's open it up to the floor anyways, because this is the last time, damn it. If you don't have anything personal to plug, maybe some movies from not this year, maybe a director, Taylor, that you love to point people to watch their movies, anything at all. We'll start with Laura. Anything at all?
Yeah, I'd like to plug Soup. It's a real cold, snowy day out here in Ontario. And it seems like the perfect day for Soup. So consider Soup.
And as always, I always love throwing to Laura because she always forgets that even though we've talked about it like 20 times on this episode alone, that we have another podcast that you can plug, which is called Disney Dummies, which you can find the podcast.
I was just thinking about Soup.
Hey, Soup and Disney Dummies, they go well together, I hear.
Not when you're recording.
No, lots of, you'll have to go to the bathroom.
The fact that you've been managing to balance that bowl for like these 2 hours is so impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not one slurp to be heard either.
Yeah.
Dainty.
Alyssa, anything to plug?
I would just say if anyone's interested in what movies made me cry and what movies didn't, that's what my Letterboxd reviews are for. And you can find me at Alyssa Wall.
And I love you for it.
Incredible. Taylor.
Yeah, I guess I'll just do the same thing. Letterboxd, it's just Taylor Fleming, I think.
But one M. That's
One M.
Whoa,
tricky.
Do you write
That is how you spell your name,
reviews?
correct?
Sorry, what?
That you spell your name with one M? That's
One
cool.
M, yes.
Okay, yes.
I've just never spelled his name right on the first try ever.
That's because Jared and Jordan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Maddie and Hannah, since Alyssa wouldn't do it.
No, I did. I said they gave me the t-shirt. I love you both equally.
For myself, you can find me on Letterboxd, but I will not share what that is because Letterboxd is for me. Too bad, suckers. Too bad. I don't want to write succinct thoughts for anybody else. I have to do that every other day. Letterboxd is for me. But I recommend you use it because it is a good way to log your movies. I can at least plug that.
The watch list is handy. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for myself, you can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. Check out all the shows there. Like, subscribe, review, rate, and share with all your friends. That's it for us for this group. Oh my God, the Glambot's back. Glambot's back. Here we go.
Show your teeth.
I'm doing the Ariana Grande hair toss.
Okay. Yeah, Taylor, what pose are you doing, Taylor? This is
I tripped.
Laura's, what are you doing here?
This is my best smile.
Breakdance.
Aww,
that's good.
girl looks great.
I'm doing breakdance for some reason.
Camera's not going to get
That's it for us. We'll see you later. Mwah, mwah. We love you all.
Bye.
Bye.
See you at the movies.
Oh, nice.